like my Barry White. Oh yeah. The hardest intro song on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the CJK Experience. I am your gracious host, Mr. CJ Kyles, and welcome. It is Friday night. A lot of y'all, it's payday for you guys. I know it's time for a lot of you dudes to trick off your money, going to the strip clubs and, paying for interactions with women that don't really care for you like that. But that is all right. As long as you make sure to come back and listen to the CJK Experience. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you are right here with me whenever you are listening to this. And I am so happy to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a great show for today. Great show. I have a panel. I have some people. Well, not really a panel. I'm not going to call it a panel. I'm just going to call it some dope people that I know. And we're just going to have a conversation. How about that? Let's have a conversation because everybody says panel. I'm tired of that. Just some individuals talking. That sounds better to me. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring on my guest. Please introduce yourselves, ladies. Let me turn the music off and stop being ghetto. All right.
My name is Danielle. I frequent your podcast. I'm a nurse and entrepreneur. My business is Statuesque Physiques at the leisure wear line. And according to Chris, my banana pudding is crack.
Okay. Let's see. All righty.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm at the Blooming Ebony on Instagram, and I talk a lot about femininity and growth, and I'm super happy to be here. Thanks again, CJ Kyles.
We appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. I'm getting better with this whole StreamYard thing, doing the solo layouts and everything. Last week I was trash. Like I didn't know what was going on. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. Ladies, how y'all been? How has you guys this week been? It's Friday. It's payday for a lot of us. So how has it been? Have y'all done anything crazy throughout the week?
A little bit. I was in Vegas with Topgolf, and
Vegas.
That was a
wow.
And that was a whole thing. That was a whole thing on its own. So a lot of fun. My first time ever, I think, golfing. Really.
We went to Vegas last October. It was my second time. It was Dee Dee's first time in Vegas, and Vegas is dope. But we went in the middle of the pandemic, and I like Vegas. I see why people frequent Vegas a lot. You ever been to Vegas, Daniel?
I ain't been nowhere.
Well, that's all about to change. That's all about to change. But tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Accountability versus victimhood. The sweet comfort, the sweet lie of victimhood versus the ugly truth of accountability. Now, ladies, I have some questions that I would like to ask you guys. But before we get into that, I just want to get you all's general definition of what accountability is. And then I'm going to ask you what victimhood is. So, Danny, let me start with you. What is accountability?
Accountability is when you make a mistake that you own up to it and apologize or try to rectify it in some way.
Okay. All right. Chris, what's accountability to you?
Yeah, I agree with Danielle. It's understanding your role in whatever is in a situation, and knowing that the consequences aren't completely outside your control. You had some influence on what's going on, and you take responsibility for what's going on around you if it was within your control.
Bet. And I pretty much agree with both of you ladies when it comes to accountability, what accountability is. What is being a victim, Chris? What is being a victim?
It's ignoring what is in your control, and not changing or wanting to grow from past weaknesses, past mistakes, past traumas, and just wanting to live in this constant helplessness.
Danny, same question.
I agree with what you said. Choose the bond.
Yeah, pretty
Not
much. Yeah, we're pretty
giving
much
up.
all in agreement. That's what victim and accountability is. I would think most people would agree. So my first question to y'all: when it comes to being a success or failure financially, how much blame do we put on circumstances versus actual planning? So, like in other words, is it always the where we come from that determines, or like the circumstances we were born to? Do people always tend to blame that versus actually going out and put in the work? Danielle, let me start with you.
I think it can be your circumstance sometimes. Your circumstance can dictate your outlook, your perception of yourself, your capability to even see an opportunity. Um, and sometimes I do believe that circumstance is a part.
All righty. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I also think it depends. Of course, you can be born in a country that makes it very hard to move up a class system. Um, I think for the most part, at least from my experience, growing up in America, I do feel as though with the capitalist system, typically it's more so to do with the person not taking the initiative. Um, it's not necessarily where they grow up. It's more so who they surround themselves with, or um, their own diminishing beliefs, that they can't be more than what they are.
Okay. I've always looked at I do look at circumstances and some of the things that you can't control as a part. It can definitely be a part, but I think either the some people have to have the will to want to win or not, because you could have somebody who was born with everything and want to be absolutely nothing. You dig what I'm saying? They could be a bum. They just choose not to excel because they were born into being affluent, or they had everything handed to them at a young age. And that could go both ways. You could have somebody that feels that, well, since I was born in poverty, this is obviously where I'm meant to be. That could be the mindset. But sometimes I feel like it has become popular to uh, put too much blame on the circumstances, because as an adult, and like I said, some things you can't help, but as an adult, we have to make certain choices because the world doesn't owe us understanding. The world can be a terrible and cruel place, and the world does not feel sorry for you. So with that being said, how do you ladies feel that one, if they are in a situation to where they are handed the shorter end of the stick in life, what do you think is the proper way for them? What is the mindset they should develop? You are successful individuals. Now, I don't know a lot about your background, about where you grew up, or the circumstances that you were in, but what do you think is something that they could do to develop a mindset to want to change their circumstances if they are in a bad circumstance?
Um, I grew up in a neighborhood of poverty, but my mother, her mind was not a mind of poverty. So I don't feel like I really had much to free myself from, because she always spoke life into me and always made sure I knew I can be whatever I wanted to be, and that is nothing that's out there that I can't have if I just work hard at it. Um, but I do have friends that didn't have that. And what they said that, well, one in particular, a guy said that he just had to change his surroundings. He came home from prison and he went to college. He didn't get no college degree, but being in college and being around people who had a broader mind helped him to expand his horizons. And now he is successful.
Good point. All right. Chris.
I completely agree. The best quote I heard while I was working at US Bank was, "You are the average of who you surround yourself with. If you want to be a millionaire, get millionaire friends." And now I apply that to everything. But I think it has a lot to do with surroundings. You know, if you think about, because you can grow up anywhere but be around people who want to be rich, and you can kind of see that in them already. You know, you can tell they're going to be successful, you can tell that they're going to be great. um, so just try and find those people, because I feel like we all grew up in circumstances that weren't necessarily ideal. um, and if you find the people who want to be better and are looking for that constant growth and are also following their moral compass, you know, they can tell right from wrong, you know, because you could be financially well off, but, you know, be a drug dealer, you know, and
Right.
be lose it all the next day. And so,
So,
you know,
you know,
finding the
finding
right
the right
people is
people is
important.
Right. Um, so I'm assuming that both of you are a firm believer of birds of a feather do flock together. Do you believe that before I assume? Uh
not all the time. I flock
oh.
with people who are not like me when I was younger. Even now, I would flock with people who I'm not. Well, I don't. I'm a friendly person,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't befriend a lot of people. I hang out with my husband, my kids, my mom, my family is who I hang out with. But I
Right.
am friendly, and so you could catch me out with people who are not like me.
Mm.
I don't want to be small minded like that. You can hang around the worst people and learn awesome things.
Okay. Well, what about? I think it's a fine line between being around people that it is in your best interest to be around versus somebody or people that can be detrimental to your success. And I think we as people have to have better judgment of that. Um, Now, oh, shout out to great. Shout out to King Gene in the building. Um, Now we got a even panel. I dig that. Shout out to King Gene. But I'm gonna get to you in a minute, King Gene. But I'm a firm believer of I do believe birds of a feather do flock together. Now that's not to say that you can't learn from anybody. I do believe that you can learn from anybody, but when it comes to my personal circle, I feel like if our directions don't align with one another, then it's hard because I think to make people friends, you have to have a common denominator that makes you friends, or just to have to be in one another's life. So I tend not to hang. I say it all the time. I don't hang out with people that I think can land me in some trouble because I've worked too hard to get to where I am in life, and I'm more so a believer of the idea that you surround yourself with people that have the same ideologies and beliefs as you, you'll be better off. King Gene, what's cracking?
Oh, nothing much, my brother. Happy to be with you, man.
Man, I'm happy to have you here. Ladies, this is King Gene. King Gene, this is Chris the Bloom and Ebony. This is Danielle. She's a nurse. Just some dope people, dope individuals. I don't want to put y'all day jobs out there like that. But people already know what you do, Danielle. So but we were all right, King Gene. The question that I had asked the ladies was, when it comes to being a success or being a failure financially, how much blame do we put on circumstances and not actual planning? What do you think about that?
Well, I can tell you this: the easiest way to be financially broke is not to plan at all whatsoever. So I would say that. So planning is paramount because
Hmm.
there's nothing in life that you expect to succeed in that you don't plan for.
Right.
Think about, over the course of your life, uh, everyone on the panel is college educated. You just didn't go in there and say, okay, well, I'm just going to pick a degree at random, or one is going to materialize out of the air for me. No, that's not what you did. You found the field of study you were interested in. You adhered to the curriculum. You got the degree at the end. So it has to be some planning that's involved. And for individuals that don't feel like they should plan, I have a few family members that's like that, y'all. Just to be honest now, like CJ said, I'm not gonna put too much of myself out there, but I have family members that say, okay, well, I think that the positive energy in the universe is gonna give me what I need. No, no, you need to plan. You need to be intentional. You need to make sure that the steps that you are taking are contributing towards you getting the end result that you want. So I don't think that, if you're an individual that feels like you shouldn't plan, I don't think you're going to get very far. Just my opinion now.
Do you think your circumstances in life truly are a factor on whether you will be rich or poor for the most part, or an average earner? How do you feel about that?
Well,
You're back.
I don't know necessarily, my brother, about circumstances. I don't know about that. But now, uh, if you allow your circumstances to dictate your mentality, then of course that's what's going to happen to you.
Mhm.
So now, uh, just to give you a little background. Now, I got to go anecdotal because you hit me with something that at this particular point is something that hit my mind, and I wanted to share it with you. Where I grew up in,
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I'm originally from Mississippi. I'm from the
Mhm.
Delta in Mississippi, and so the town that I grew up in, 30 minutes away from that town, is the poorest city in the poorest state in the United States. So you got people there that we're talking about below the poverty line. That's where we were. So if I'm looking around and I'm allowing the situation that I'm in to dictate how I respond, what my mental conditioning is, I'm not going anywhere because there's poverty all around me. And so the only thing I can do, if I have the same mental state as the people around me, is live in poverty. So I don't think it's as much as the situation as it is how you approach the situation, what your mental state is in regards to what it is you want to do. I'm gonna get off my soapbox now, bro.
Oh no, you good. You good. No, that was a good point. I wanted you to come in and spit. I dig that. I dig that. So before I go on to the next question, I asked the ladies, do you think it is vital for do you believe in the whole birds of a feather flock together?
Absolutely.
Hmm. All right. That sounds like a winner to me. Now let's switch it up a little bit because like I said, the whole show topic is about accountability versus being a victim. Now, when it comes to dating and relationships, at what point do we take personal responsibility for our poor choices in dating and being in a relationship? For example, sometimes I think we tend to date people and we ignore all of the red flags, but we become so infatuated with a person and become attracted to the things that may be bad about them that we look to change them. I think as human beings, a lot of us are fixers. We want to fix people. We want to take on projects and everything like that and try to save the world. Now, I do hear a lot of people say that, well, they didn't get like that until they got with me. They changed. They changed. Do you think most people tend to change in relationships, or do we just ignore bad signs from the beginning? Chris, let me start with you.
I think we ignore bad signs in the beginning. I was actually reading an article that was saying one of the downsides with people not waiting to have marriage, waiting to have sex till marriage, is that for a lot of women, having sex too soon can cause you to ignore a lot of the negative aspects of a person. It causes you to see only the glorious things about them. And so that is, I think, for at least for women, to say that that person wasn't like that in the beginning, I think it was just kind of drowned out by this extreme lust, and this extreme connection that was built out of, you know, prematurely connecting with someone. Um, and so I think it can be both, but I think it more so is people don't necessarily change, like, deep values that they have.
Okay. Bet. Danny, same question.
I really don't know. Um, I think you can be infatuated with a person or be so lonely that you just ignore certain things. Um, I myself, you gotta be able to check some boxes for me to be able to even want to deal with you to begin with. So
Hmm.
no.
What is okay? What was an important thing? Because I know you're married. What was an important thing before you got married when you were out here and I don't know if you were really looking for anything, but if you chose to be on a serious tip with somebody, what do you think is something that was very important, a very important factor that you looked for when choosing?
Till I got with my husband, I didn't have nothing that I was looking for because I was not looking for anyone, and I didn't even notice that till I was with him. Um, and it was certain things that I was like, uh. And we went back and forth about not being together. And at that point, I had to come up with something. And I was shocked because I was like, wow, if I'd had this list, I don't even think I would have dated my husband.
Hmm, that's interesting. King Gene.
Okay. So I
Uh
thought about what the ladies just said. And by the way, look, CJ, if I can say this, man, uh, I think you invited some ladies on the panel, man. Very well spoken, very educated, man. They've been
oh
spending
yeah.
fire the whole time I've been listening, man. I appreciate that. I
Oh
really
yeah.
do.
Oh yeah.
I really
Very.
do.
I was just telling Danny that I think it's time that we really start championing women that are dope, that don't got to be out here and popping ass and titties every time you see them and everything like that. And I think that just speaks to my maturity because I was watching, not to go too far off topic, but I was watching the BET Awards and I was watching not Cardi B, but Megan the Stallion's performance, and hands on my knees, shaking ass on my thought shit. Like, okay, I mean that's cool if that's what you into and everything like that. That's fine. But I'm sitting back and I'm watching it, and mind you, I'm at work and they have it playing over the loudspeakers, not the loudspeakers, but like over the big TV at work. And I'm just like, I'm just like, I'm not really feeling this. I'm like, I must be getting old because I'm just like, I'm thinking of like, what if if I had babies, what if my babies was watching this? What if my daughter was watching this? And again, this is an adult stuff, so you have to monitor as an adult what your kids watch. But that's not always the case at times. So you can't be everywhere at one time. We get that, you're human. But I was just like, yeah, I'm all right on this for now. Um, that's not something that I will really want to take home. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you might want to have fun with that for a night or two, but it's not something I want to take home. But same question to you, King G. I didn't mean to get too off topic.
Well, I think that a lot of times that's what we do. We ignore the red flag
Mm.
because they present themselves now. If you give a person uh, time, you give them long enough, they'll show you what their intentions are. And within those intentions, you should be looking to see if what you intend to do lines up with what they intend to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, then it's like our beautiful sister just said. Now you got their checklist, and if the checks aren't appearing as they should, then it might be time to book a flight and get out of there. But I think we do that, and like you said, CJ, we come into relationships with the notion that there's going to be something about this person that I'm going to have to fix, and I don't think that's necessary because if a person is getting into a relationship with you, why not expect them to come whole and complete? Why don't you come whole and complete? And so y'all two can get together, and instead of trying to fight trauma that you should have already dealt with, y'all can get together, y'all can become one and move forward.
That's a good point. I know as a guy, um, we well, I can't speak for all men. I can just talk about situations that I've dealt with in my
All right,
past.
I smell my piece of cover. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah. For y'all, those of y'all who don't know, she is a cook. She has her own cooking business. She got some peach cobbler popping in the oven right now. Excuse her, y'all. But anyway, as from a man's perspective, from my perspective, I think that the younger you are, the more you don't know. You just don't know stuff when you're younger, and you learn. You have to grow. Some of us just happen to avoid the pitfalls and don't make those mistakes that can cost us everything. Not everything, but can cost us a lot later on in life. Now, when I was younger, I liked hood rats. I'm not going to lie to you. I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. I was into hood rats. Ghetto, different color hair, long lashes, the crazy nails. I don't know why. I didn't grow up like that. I went to church. I come from a Kojic background. And maybe it was because that I was trying to rebel subconsciously. I don't know. But I was just into hood rats. I loved the hood rats were fun. They were fun. They usually are very funny, very witty. You know what I'm saying? They're exciting. That's how I looked at it as a younger man. But I always knew at a young man at a young age that I shouldn't be messing with these girls because I had constant examples. I had um, older male cousins around me who were dealing with these same type of women. And I had, my pops was always around like, you don't need to be doing that. She ain't, but we just choose to ignore it. I don't know if it's the physical beauty I can just contribute that to being young. I know Chris was saying it was about, lust, like a great lust, like you were saying, Chris. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, why do you think, other than the lust, do you think it's other things that maybe it's like a rebellion from how you grew up? What do y'all think, ladies, in certain situations why we may date people that we know that isn't good for us? Danny, was the peach cobbler okay?
It must be because she dancing. It must have been good.
It was so good. I had like some extra syrup and some extra crust that I just baked that because that's actually my favorite part, not necessarily the peaches.
At that.
If I could, I would have brought it right on in here and just been like,
Well, it is what it is.
no, I'm not doing that.
But so what do you think? Did you get all of my last question?
You said, is it just lust? Or is
Yeah,
it just overlooking or
like,
something
do
like
you
that?
think is it just lust, or do you think it's like something deeper than that? Do you try to rebel? Because like I was telling them, grew up in a Kojic background. I had solid examples of good women and the type of women that people would think that I should be dating. And in the back of my mind that I knew I should be dating. But as a young man, I was attracted to hood rats, real 100% hood rats. I know you would never think, right? But do you what do you think can cause a situation like that? Well, we have great examples around us, but we tend not to follow those examples, I guess, to a T.
I don't know. I followed the examples my mother gave me. She chose hard-working, normal men. And she even went as far as telling me, like, my mom is beautiful. Okay. And she would go hang out and would be made up. And I'm the only girl in my family, so sometimes I would be with her. And guys would be trying to get with her. And I'm a little kid. I'm like, oh, mama. And she was like, no, no. And I'm like, well, why? She was like, I'm all made up and he liked me like this. And I just prefer a guy that like me when I'm regular. I'm not looking like this all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
what if that's what he choosing? He don't like me when I'm looking regular. I really look regular and then get made up and he just extra happy. So when I got older, I just tended to not get with a guy who, when they look at me, they like, I don't want that. I didn't want to date no drug dealers because that's what I saw. And the drug dealers that I saw was like literally beating their women down the street.
Mm.
I saw guys that was dating all the women around. My mother also told me not to date nobody in my neighborhood. So I mean, I just really took my mother's advice. I didn't go the other route of being rebellious. My mother is my role model. And so in my own personal life, I may have rebelled because she was very strict with me. And I just needed to learn some things on my own because we do have different personality, or way of seeing things. But when it came to dating, no, I took her advice.
All right. Chris, what do you think? Do you think sometimes it can be rebellion? Do you think it's something that can be deeper than that? What are your thoughts?
I think it can be deeper than that. I think now that you bring up rebellion, I think that's probably a big one. Rebellion, also just wanting the test. I think some people just like to try different things. They don't like to be restricted. There's a lot of, when I went to college, there are a lot of people who called themselves free. So if they felt a certain way around that person, they were going to date them. Didn't matter what they did, what they looked like. If they felt good around them, they were going to date them. And so I think it just depends on the person. But I agree with Danielle. I think growing up, I was very similar. I have 4 older siblings. I'm the youngest. And so I saw what they did. My parents were together my whole life. They just got divorced when I was like 18, 19. But they were married my entire life. And so I always had really good examples. And I was never forced down any route. I think my parents instilled just good values in me, and they let me kind of work that out myself. And so I never really got to an age where I needed to test out different things because I felt like those things weren't available to me when I was younger. I had some of that freedom to kind of see how things pan out on their own, without constantly wanting to kind of dip my toe in to everything, I guess. So
Bet. Before I come to King Gene, I want to just tell everybody who may be watching live, please hit the like button on your way in and out. People who may be watching the playback, hit that like button on the way in and on the way out. And also, you can, if you want to support the channel, you can go to the Cash app. Go ahead and pull that them tides out your pockets, and you can send them libations over here at the CJ Kyles on the Cash App side of the game. I will greatly appreciate that. Now let's get to some of these comments. Zachary Gilmore says, learned that later in life. 2 exclamation points. That was real serious. Juan Miller said, interesting, bro. Didi says, of course, when you like someone in the beginning, you ignore the red flags. Juan Miller says, sometimes we don't ignore the red flags because people don't show you who they really are until they feel as if you're all in. Didi says a person can only hide under a mask so long it will fall off. For some reason, we have been taught to love people, bad behavior. We get used to it, and then it's just them. We become toxic for each other. That's a good point. I agree with that. That's a good point. Yeah, it can be a very slippery slope. Do any of you want to respond to any of those comments? Did you guys have anything you want to say to any of those comments? No? All right. Let's move on. This is going good so far. I'm digging this. Okay, let me see. So when we talk about the red flags, I think let's try to get, well, I'm not a psychologist. I don't think anybody here is, but let's just say for today, we try to take it from a psychological aspect. Why do we choose to ignore the red flags in relationships? Is it because of convenience? Is it because of real love? Or is it because of the hard work that it takes to get back out there and find somebody new? What do y'all think? Let's start with King Gene. Wait a minute, King Gene. Did I ignore you on the last question?
No, brother, it's your show now. You don't ignore me on your show.
Well, no, I still wanna get to you. I think I did. I did because I was supposed to come to you. Let me see. But yeah, do you remember what I asked you?
I do not, brother. Refresh my memory.
Well, I really don't either. But
old, huh?
for what I was hoping, hey King Gene, I was hoping you would have saved me on that one. I'd be like, yeah, I remember. Hey, brother. But nah, no, but really, I think what we were just saying was the account. What do you think it is? Is it rebellion that causes us to date somebody that may not typically be good for us? Do we know better? We know that we should not be messing with them, or is it deeper than that? What do you think?
Well, I have to agree with, once again, the sisters on the panel. A lot of times it just proves true that opposites attract, right?
Mm.
But now here's the thing: it only attracts as powerfully as you allow it to. What makes the difference is what you know to be right. So, like you saying, you like the hood rat chicks, and then uh, in the stature that you're in now, the place in life that you're in now, uh, if you still like them, they couldn't fit into what you're trying to do. You're building, you're moving upward, and they're in the description that you gave, they're generally just they're okay with where they are, and they're reveling in it. So they couldn't fit in with what you needed, even though you liked them at one point. That's the reason why you moved away from them in the end. So I think opposites do attract, but now we have to add some common sense to this situation. If I know that this person is not working toward the same thing that I'm working toward, then it's really no benefit for me to involve this person in my life.
Well, yeah, I agree. Child support scares were a real thing. Shout out to the homie Sky Baby. I've heard a lot of horror stories. Earlier in a couple months ago, I did a show called Child Support Horror Stories where I told some of the child support stories that I've heard over the years. And that really got me together real quick. Now, that's not to say that, somebody who's not deemed a quote unquote hood rat won't put you on child support, because anybody can get put on child support. Anybody can put you on child support. But me being young and not knowing, the hood rats, quote unquote, were typically the women who were always promoted as, oh, you get her pregnant, she gonna put you on child support, she gonna do this, she gonna do that. So me taking that knowledge and from what I thought I knew, I said, yeah, I'm cool on this. I don't want to be on child support at all. And then I started thinking about stories that my pops told me when I was younger, when he ripped my $5 bill up in half and saying that's what happens when you get a girl pregnant. So it didn't take me long. I think I had to go out here and experience, but it didn't take me long to get back on track. But I see that look on your face, Danielle. You look like you was about to say something. What's up?
Nah, I was just like, dang. Oh, rip your money up.
Yeah. Real quick, I had spent like all day working in the yard with him. And then he sits me down. He goes, hey, you want to have kids one day? I was probably like 10 years old. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess. Yeah, maybe. He was like, you want to know something? What happened when you had kids? I was like, well, what happens? He said, let me see that 20. I think it was like a $20 bill. He was like, let me see that $20 bill. I said, okay. He was like, you worked hard for this, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. He said, I see you. You have worked hard. You've been out here all day. And I said, okay. I'm like, I'm 10. I don't know where this is going. He takes the $20 bill, and he goes, rips it right up and gives me half of it back. He said, that's what happens when you have kids before you're ready. And that always stuck with me. No, well, he gave me my money back. He gave me another 20, but still the shock, the message became clear. Now, sometimes I didn't always, adhere to the message, but he still did his job as a father to put it out there. So yeah, that's crazy. It worked for me. Okay. So
I might have to steal that.
Yeah, seriously. Especially, oh boy. But anyway, flashbacks. Why do we choose to ignore red flags in relationships? Some of us, now for some of us that can relate, is it because of convenience, or is it because of the hard work that it may take to get back out there and find somebody again? King Gene, let's start with you. I don't think I've started with you first.
Well, I think it's probably a combination of both, my brother, because when you're already with an individual, then it's better because this is the devil that you know.
Right? Say that one more time for the people in the back.
Yeah, this is the devil that you know. And so you're aware of the way that person moves, right? And
So
so
you rather deal with the devil that you know than versus dealing with some new devils.
there you go. That's
Wow.
how I feel. And a lot of times, because of the fact that you are aware of how this person behaves and the way that they move, then you build up a level of comfort because you get to the point where you expect a
Mhm.
person to do a certain thing when they're faced with a certain situation.
Right. Right. Danielle, same question here.
I need the question again because I was just stuck on his devil that you knew.
Right. That was fire. I might have to get that on a shirt or something. The question was, do you think people, well, I guess we can form it like this. Do you think people stay in bad situations when it comes to relationships because of convenience or the hard work that it actually takes to get out there and find somebody new again?
I think it can be convenient. I think it could be lack of esteem, self-esteem, you know. I know people who leave relationships and get with another person and it be the same relationship, you know.
Mm,
So, I mean, I think it could be a lot of things. I think you could be lonely, keep going back to a person.
mhm.
With females, we can have so many reasons to do things. We are so complicated. We don't have no simple answers for us. Y'all men, y'all pretty simple.
Yeah, we are. Very
But
simple,
us
actually.
women, we are not. And we change with the wind. We change with our roles. I have changed so much with my husband. And he is so wonderful because he allowed me to change and then he just come right on over with me.
I think to that point, I'm gonna go right to you, Chris, in 1 second. But I think that point you made, I feel like if you have a woman, I feel like as a man, you have to understand that women are emotional creatures and emotions are fickle. Something as simple as a movie can change someone's emotions in a day. And I feel like if you have a thorough man and a good woman at heart, and she's genuinely pure, not pure, but just a good person with good character and good love, I feel like that transition is easy. I mean, it's never going to be peaches and cream every day in a relationship, but I feel like to go through that journey with somebody, um, I think it's no issue because if you're a good woman, you're a good wife, good girlfriend, whatever, he will allow you, to do what you need to do to grow as a person and vice versa. She will do the same thing. But Chris, let me get to you. What do you feel? Same question. Do you feel like it's more of convenience that people stay, or do you think it's the hard work that they don't want to put in?
I think it's both. I think for women in particular, it starts off as convenient. So when they're younger, it's just convenient to stay with that person. You put all that time in learning them. I think you tell yourself that you can, deal with it for the rest of your life, and it's just a lot easier just staying with that person and just continuing learning them. But I think as you get older, you realize that if you leave the person that you're with, it's going to be a lot harder for you to go out and find somebody else at that age. And so if you start thinking it'd be a lot easier for me to stay with this person and deal with them than to go out into the real world and be single again, because then I may not find anybody at all. And it's going to be
Mm,
a lot harder for me to meet the requirements that they want me to meet.
Mm.
Um,
wow, that's dope. So I want to ask the panel this: therapy. Is therapy necessary? Because I want to just tell you how I felt about this, and I'll get y'all thoughts too. Back in the day, well, not too long ago, maybe even so go as far back as a year ago, I used to think therapy was absolutely silly because and I was ignorant to it because I used to think that why would I go to someone who doesn't know me and tell them my issues and they really have no vested interest in me? That, at least that's how I thought about it at first. I thought therapy was actually quite silly. I mean, I will always say, well, if it's for you, it's for you. But me personally, I just thought it was quite silly. Now, I've always been a type of individual that if I had an issue, I could go to my pops. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to, I just was fortunate enough to have that man there in my life that I could speak with. But as I tend to look and to listen to other people, I think therapy is something that is very important to to do, especially if you are a broken person. Why do y'all think it's a negative stigma on therapy when it comes to, and I want to speak about the Black community because that's usually who I hear the pushback from when it comes to therapy. King Gene, what do you think?
Well, I know for one thing, I know especially in my family. Now I can't speak for the sisters, but in my family, what happens in our home stays in our home.
Mm-hmm.
One thing my grandmother would always say, she'd say, "Now, whatever you do, don't bring us to open shame." That's what she would say. And so it was more of an insistence on having a proper appearance to the public. It was more about that. There was no insistence on dealing with the traumas that all of us have. And I don't think I'm going too far when I say this, CJ, because you said within our community, there is no Black person, and I know this is going to be kind of dramatic, so hold your chest, okay?
Go
There's
ahead.
no Black person that grows up in this country that is not traumatized.
I agree.
It doesn't happen. I'm sorry. No matter how educated we become, no matter what environment we grew up in, the cells that make up our skin tone are the reason why we're treated differently. I'm just I'm not using it as a crutch because I don't believe in it, but I have to be forthright and say that that's one of the things, my brother. You when you're looking at things from the way that they are and not the way that we want them to be, trauma comes because of who we are as an ethnicity. We're subjected to it. So it would be foolish on our part to think that we shouldn't be proactive in trying to get some help. There are things I'm dealing with. I don't understand why I'm reacting to this particular situation the way that I am. I need help and I need to get it so that I can have a productive life.
Absolutely.
Hey, yeah. What do you think about what King James just said?
I agree with him. And I'm even taking a step further since I'm in school right now for my RN.
Mhm.
I had psychology. And in the psychology course, they actually talk about passed down trauma. Um, and it's not just an experience. Science say it's actually passed down in our DNA. And that's come you see the same type of traumas throughout the family because it's not just what you experience. That Black family that grew up in the suburbs gonna experience some of the same traumas as the Black family that is part of them that grew up in the inner city because it's part of your DNA. And we are in America, and so we gonna have those microaggressions put at us, and we are expected to suck it up, and we are expected to act like it doesn't exist or that we can't say nothing because then I got to write up because she said I was argumentative because I was asking what did I do. She was yelling at me. She couldn't explain what I actually done. But in my write up, I was argumentative.
Wow. Okay. Chris, why do you think therapy? Well, let me ask you: do you think therapy is negatively received in our community, Black community, and how do you feel about what King Gene and Danny just said?
Yes, I do. I completely agree with them. And to add, I also think that a lot of, at least in my close circles, what I hear, because I always encourage my family members and friends to go to therapy. And what I'm often told is that they feel like they're dealing with it on their own or that it could be worse. And so where they're at currently is fine. And I feel like I hear that a lot, that word, just fine. Oh, we're fine now. We're fine now. But the day before, they're throwing stuff at each other. And it's like, there's no way you're fine 24 hours later. You need help. You absolutely need help. And I just think it's this need to they either put all their faith into God or they put all their faith into what they think that they can handle because they feel like they have to handle everything on their own. Because maybe they have been handling everything on their own because they feel like they don't have any resources in the the current environment we're in. Um, but yeah, I honestly don't know why, but that's what I've been hearing these past few years.
I think it would be helpful if we start our children off in therapy, even if not in our own personal homes, if our schools had therapy, because schools in the suburbs have therapists. Like growing up, we would hear about these mass shootings in these schools, in these white schools, and those kids would get therapy for those things that happen. And I feel like if we could have that for our children, it will become more regular, because the environment you grow up in is like a war zone. It is not. It is constant trauma. I had friends get killed at the corner of my block. I've had friends get killed right next door to my house. But you don't get therapy for those things. You just taught to go about life like nothing happened, like that's normal, and it is just not.
Right. I want to go back to something that King Gene said. King Gene, you said that you felt that if you are a black person in this country, you don't get around trauma. And the reason I wanted to come back to that before, because like I told y'all, I was not extremely against it, but I was just like, I don't really need it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's necessary. That's how I felt before. And I felt that way. I'm going to tell you why. Because I really think I was coming from a genuine place, because I felt that in this country as a black man, we don't have the luxury to be depressed, because no one gives a damn at the end of the day. And that's how I looked at it. We don't have that luxury to be depressed. We don't have that luxury to be upset, because at the end of it all, I felt that no one really cared. We had to find ways. I felt like we had to find positive ways to deal with the issues that came to us at hand. For example, when I started working out, that was therapeutic for me. It helped me get out if I was feeling angry or something like that. Now, typically, I'm not an angry guy. I'm not. I'm a pretty much, not to say happy go lucky, but I'm a smooth.
Chill.
Yeah, I'm chill. Like I don't let a lot of stuff get to me and everything like that. And Didi used to ask me all the time, well, who do you talk to when you need some help or something like that? And I said, I got my boys or something like that. But I was just, or like I would talk to my pops, but I would just never take problems to the point to where like I always felt like it was no problem that I couldn't get myself out of. That was my outlook. So when I started going to the gym, when I started doing things like traveling, to me that was therapeutic. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that was something that you said that was very important, King Gene, about we all deal with trauma, especially as black people, because I don't think black men really get the luxury of being depressed, because the world and black people, not just black men, but black women, but like black men for real. There's no, well, I ain't gonna say no handouts, but there's nobody coming to save black men. You know what I'm saying? So that was my thought. What y'all think about
I'm
that?
trying.
No, of course.
Like that's one of my missions for my business, actually. So I definitely care.
Yeah, right.
And I definitely would love to help black men. You can't help them all, but those that want to be helped, once I get my business up and running, that is absolutely my mission. If you look at my lives on my Facebook page, that's what I address, are black men and what they go through and how they should be respected and how we can get them to progress. Oh yeah.
Bet.
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah,
What y'all?
No problem.
What do y'all think about black men and their black men and depression? What do you think about what I just said? Because the whole mentality that I had, do you think that's something that's taught? Like, what are y'all thoughts on that?
I think you was blessed with a father, and so you was actually getting counseling and didn't know it.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point, King Gene.
And then too, just to go along with what Danny was saying, and then the way that we are raised, especially if we're exposed to a father, what your father is trying to do, he's trying to build in you to steal, to be able to to deal with the world when you have to face it. But here's the thing, brother, and for my sister too. In order to continue to move forward, you have to take care of yourself. And I don't have no problem with lighting candles and running hot water and taking a long bath and all this stuff that people say about self-care. Hey, cool. I'm with that. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
But now, in order to make sure that you are okay mentally, you got to have the mental stamina to stay in this thing for the long run. And the only way you can do that is by going and sitting with a professional. And two things are going to happen. That professional is going to highlight for you the things that you need to work on. But more importantly, they're going to highlight the progress that you have made. So if you're making progress in dealing with the traumas that have been forced upon you, then guess what? You can progress in any other area of life because those are the hardest areas to deal with. That means you can make it. You can keep going.
Danny, I got a question personally for you because we are nurses and we were in this pandemic, like right in the middle of it, dealing with it. Saw a lot of death and all that stuff. Do you feel like as a healthcare professional, it should be mandatory of someone who sees death at the rate that we do, that we get therapy?
I think it will be helpful so that you can even know what you feel. I think that since we see it so often, just like growing up in trauma, it can feel normal and you can push down those feelings and ignore it. And I think that it would be helpful to sit with a professional so that you can talk about it and actually see what you feel about it because it goes so fast that you don't even get a chance to feel anything. You
Yeah.
just keep going because that's what you have to do.
You know what's crazy? And I feel numb to death when it comes to patience and everything like that. Like I'm empathetic, you know what I'm saying? But once you see it so much, it's just like a typical day. And I don't know if that's healthy or not. like like
I
should like I don't I'm like the average person like is not. I don't know if they're accustomed to handle death like that. I mean, maybe you got your, people that work in the funeral business and everything like that, and they see it so often. But like we are with those people as they're taking their last breaths. So, it's a very unique situation.
I think that I'm not necessarily numb to it. Being Muslim, my religion puts death in your face every day, all day. Because everything that we do is to prepare ourselves for death. I make my
Right.
prayers, I do my thickers, I remember Allah. Every decision I make, I have death on my mind for myself because my religion teaches that, once you die on the day of judgment, you go in front of God and God gonna have you judge yourself. He gonna give you a book and have you read that book of the things that you didn't did. Now where you think you need to go? Do you need to go
Wow.
to heaven or hell for what you done done? And so I just try to keep it on my mind and always try to be fair to people. Because I mean, that's just what my religion teaches. And so for me, death is real and I'm not necessarily numb to it because I mean, I can't. All day long I listen to different talks on YouTube about it. When I read, that's what I'm preparing for.
Okay. Chris, anything you want to add?
To the death
Just
part.
anything, yeah, anything that you heard so far.
Well, I did want to add to the men or black men in depression. I just remember in school, I feel like women had somewhere to go. Like we had women's centers, we had all types of clubs. They would bring in therapists to talk to women during, I think it's like International Women's Month, something like that. And the men didn't have anything, nothing
Mm.
for them. And they tried to push for something and they got shut down. And
Hmm.
women tell them you don't need it. And this wasn't just black men in particular, it's all men. But I couldn't imagine like what that would feel like for somebody, to just be told that you can handle everything on your own, that you don't have any traumas just because of the way that you look. Well, I can't imagine it from that aspect, but I hadn't seen it happen to somebody else in that way, just based on someone's gender like that. And I was told that it was in reverse, like that should have been happening to me as a woman, but to see it happening to a man, I was shocked. And then my partner and I were talking about how like they don't have like homeless shelters for men. Typically, there's like one per state or something like that, but there's
Wow.
thousands for women. And I was like, wow, they really neglect men in this country. And I didn't realize it until I think a few months ago. I think I got red pilled just on like men's rights and all of that. And so I can't imagine like if it's like that for all men, I can't imagine how much harder it is for just black men in this
Yeah.
country. I can't imagine.
King Gene, are black men depressed? Do you think most black men are depressed?
I think so, but I think it's a functional depression, if I could use that term.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's correct. I see Danny. Danny saying she don't know, but I'm gonna use that term, Danny, if you'll let me. Okay,
No, I
functional
was just
depression.
thinking, I don't know if they functioning.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that look that too. But I most definitely I think so. I
Mm.
think so because we walk around with so much, and it's like Chris was saying, you don't have an outlet. Now you got your boys, but now here's the thing about that. They're dealing with the same things you're dealing with. So how can they help you to solve the issues that you have when they clearly have the same issues? So I think so. I think we're not only are we depressed, but I think that uh, something that Chris was saying is clear that not only do you have so much to carry around with you, but then you don't have any support system
Yeah.
that can help relieve you of the burden that you carry.
Okay.
So now, as they mentioned, I did a show on that. One, if you line 10 homeless people up, line up 10 homeless people, 9 of the 10 are men.
Mm.
9 out of 10. That's statistically sound. 9 out of 10 are homeless and they're men.
Right.
Right? So that's an epidemic among men. And in the particular segment that we did, CJ, in California, along a very, very wealthy strip, they pulled up to the strip and they began to take all the belongings of these people who were homeless and load them in the back of a garbage trailer. Everything that they owned in life,
Wow.
they put it in their trailer and took it off. So when these people come back to where they were living, they have nothing. They didn't have a whole lot in the beginning. And then to put that in perspective, in amongst all those individuals, 9 out of 10 of them were men. So yeah,
Wow.
we're depressed, brother, because we got to carry a lot.
Wow. That's something to think about, man. I didn't even really look at it from that standpoint. I think as black men, we are told to go, go, go. And I think a lot of us, especially the successful black men, um, we have an unaccounted for duty to once we become successful, it is our job to go save everyone else. And that is pressure. I think that type of pressure that you put on um, a young black kid, because what do you see most NBA players do when they get drafted? I got to get everybody out the hood. I got to save my whole family. I was watching Master P's No Limit documentary, and he said, I got to figure out how to get my grandma and my grandpa and everything like that, everybody else up out the hood and up out the struggle. And I think that is something that right there is traumatizing to somebody to have that kind of pressure or to put that kind of pressure on yourself as a young kid or as a young person. When you're like, I have to get my family or I have to get my people that I care about out of this situation. And that kind of burden is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I've always been like, you cannot save everyone, and everybody does not want to be saved. So I've always thought that the only way to truly save the people that want to be saved is to be the walking and living example of everything that you want to be. And those who want the game will come get the game. So, um, but yeah, that's a good topic. Before we go on to the next part, anybody else want to say about that? I think I got a doozy next.
I tell you what, though, CJ, I think what you're describing, my brother, is survival's guilt. So
Yes.
you made it out, man, and but see, that's the thing I think that really speaks to trauma in our community. Uh, if CJ can do it, then I should look at CJ and say, well, oh, I can do it too. Instead of saying, well, why don't CJ come back and get me, man? He good. Why he can't help me be good? No, that's the wrong perspective. If CJ can do it, let me talk to him and tap in with him and see if I can come up with a plan to do the same thing instead of automatically expecting him to pick me up and carry me with him. You carrying enough, brother. You carrying enough.
Yeah. Danny, how do you feel about that?
I feel like it's my duty to reach back and help those that want help. I don't expect people to come and seek me. I like to be the person to go and do the seeking.
Mm.
If you can seek me, that is fine. But if you cannot, I always want to have a handout for a person that might not believe in themselves. I told you when we was talking on the phone, when I'm at work, I'm like a walking billboard for you can do it. I see people and that's what you're gonna stay doing, or do you want more? And if they want more, then I can give them information on how to get more. If they find where they at, then I leave it there. I talk and I tell the young men or whomever I'm talking to, hey, have you invited your friend to do this? Have you invited somebody to do better? Like I can't do good and not seek to help another person do good. That's just the way I was raised. My grandmother was the president of the Bot Club. I was getting woke up early in the morning. I was cleaning up. I was passing out lunches. I was taught to help, and that's just what I do. I don't feel good unless I'm helping. I think that's why I'm a nurse. I think that's why the businesses that I come up with are to help people because everybody is not as fortunate as me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, Danny? I ain't mean to cut you off,
No,
CJ.
go ahead, brother.
But you know what, Danny? I think that speaks to the fact that you are a purely feminine woman. I think it speaks to that fact. Let me tell you why.
Am I?
I think so because here, you supportive, right? You supportive
Try me.
and you're nurturing. You're nurturing. So that's just a part of who you are. That's your femininity. But now I tell you something. When it comes to the brothers, now it's a little bit different. I'm gonna tell you why. It's a little bit different because with the brothers, your approach to us. Let's say, for instance, if it's a guy he needs the game, like CJ would say. His approach to me demonstrates to me that he's serious. It's a demonstration that now he's ready to make some changes. You know, I'm like you. I got my hand out just in case you need me, but that approach tells me that now I'm ready, man. I need some help. What can you do for me? I'm ready to help you now. I just need to see that you're intentional now. After I see that, we on.
Facts. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Danny. I like to think that I'm a bit more like kind of hands off, teach yourself. If I could do it, you can do it, and try to like cheer them on from the side. But I think I would prefer to like teach somebody and be there with them until they can do it on their own. I want to teach somebody how to fish so they can continue to eat even after I'm gone. I feel like that's kind of the nature of being a woman is you help someone until they're self-sufficient. You raise a child until they don't need you anymore. And so I understand the survivor's guilt. Not you shouldn't feel like you have to do something. That person shouldn't feel like they're entitled to your help. But I do think that there should be a payoff. Like it should be sort of a win-win. I'm going to help you get to where you need to be, and it's going to help me grow as well.
I've definitely experienced survivor's guilt. And at the time, I didn't even know what survivor's guilt even was. I had no clue. But I'll give you a quick example. Like when I first got my license, instantly my tax bracket changed overnight. I don't say that to brag. I just say that to let people know that it's real. If you put in the work, things can be accomplished. Now, with that being said, certain people I couldn't hang with the same people no more because my new lifestyle allowed me to do things that they couldn't do. And I would feel guilty about that. I'll feel guilty that certain family members that I truly love couldn't experience some of the great things in life that I was experiencing because I wanted them to, but I just couldn't. And I would just feel bad at times, like, man, like, you know what I'm saying? And I had no idea why. But I tell you this, though, one thing that I can't stand is a lazy man. I think that is one of the worst thing. I think you have child molesters, murderers, lazy men. That's how I feel. I think they are some of the worst people on the planet. And I'm going to tell you why I feel like this. Because I work with people every single day who have really no movement of their bodies, that are in constant pain all the time, every day, but still get up and go to work. I still get up and go to work, whether it's taking tickets at a movie theater, whether it's a greeter at Walmart, doing something to contribute to society. So after I saw that, my tolerance for a lazy man, a loser, somebody who don't want it, who got resources in front of them but choose not to do it, I have no tolerance for that. That is, to me, that is the biggest embarrassment that anybody could be. If my son was a lazy man, I would be so embarrassed as a father. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Well, if nobody has nothing to add, I would love to get into this one because I think this video is very interesting. Now, I usually try not to share videos and everything like that because I don't like to get into the fair use thing, but I think this one is pretty interesting. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about this because I have some comments on it. So let me make sure you all can see that. If I can get y'all to mute y'all mics real quick. King Gene, I think you know this video, huh? Maybe you might. But I think this is pretty interesting. Let me see. All right. Fair use.
Racism that you're experiencing and the racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same. I hate when people talk about Black women being obese. I hate it. We are living in the Trump era.
White people are racist. So I put this up because I really want any white person in the room to know up front that this is what we're dealing with.
Black women, when we do the same diets as white women, we lose less weight and we lose it slower. The racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same.
That it's not going to be this coddling of white tears and what that looks like. We're not going to discuss, oh, maybe some of us have worked it out. No, you're always going to be racist, actually.
We're moving, we're taking care of kids, but our food quality suffers. And look, those policies kill our people. You can't get access to good health care, good insurance.
So even when you're on your path to trying to figure out how to be a better human being, because I believe that white people are born into not being human, like that actually, instead of people of color and Black folks being dehumanized, that actually everyone is dehumanized off rip within white supremacy.
I feel like when I think about the trauma that Black men have gone through, along with the trauma that a Black woman has gone through, we're able to heal each other because we know each other's pain.
That y'all are born into a life to not be human, and that's what y'all are taught to do, to be demons.
I'm going to stop it right there. I would like to get you all's thoughts on what you just saw. Hold on. Let me get StreamYard back right. Okay. So the woman blamed racism on being obese. She said the diet don't work for you the same. We are living in a Trump era. The stress responses don't work the same as when white women do diets. How do y'all feel about that? King Gene, I saw the look on your face when I first showed this video. I'm gonna start with you. You muted, brother.
Okay, thank you, my brother. I'm almost never at a loss for words, but I am now. I am. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I'm just gonna put it out there. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Listen, I was a personal trainer myself for almost 8 years. This is the thing, you all. Diet is the most important thing. Now, cardio, weight training, those things are if you want to look a certain way. But the majority of your health is in the food that you eat. So, regardless of what white supremacy dictates, what racism dictates, you dictate what is at the end of your fork. You dictate what's in your cup. You dictate what's on your plate. These are all things that you decide. So now, if we're going to be real about this situation, if we're going to be honest, there's absolutely no way that you can make a correlation between racism and somebody being overweight. How does that work? I don't, because now listen. Usually in most countries, to show you how different things are here, usually the disadvantaged people in the country are the smallest. Right?
It's definitely a first world problem.
So how are we saying that throughout the world, individuals who are of a lower class or a lower standard, who are living below the poverty line, they're smaller individuals by nature because they cannot afford the nourishment that they need for their families and themselves. Then you get here and say, I may not be in the same socioeconomic level as some Caucasian people around me. They are causing me to be fat. How? I don't help me. I'm gonna stop being dramatic.
Danny, I need your thoughts on that. What you just saw.
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. As far as the racism and being obese and being in the first world or whatever world we in, and so it's actually studies done about that actually.
Break it down.
And they do say that it's racism that causes obesity. Not okay. So the neighborhood I grew up in is one grocery store over there. In that one grocery store, you could probably make a salad out of the vegetables that they have, the fresh vegetables, but not much more. You might have broccoli. I don't know if they got like string beans or like asparagus. You might have squash because Black people like squash. I'm just saying they don't have a lot of variety of fresh fruits and vegetables available, nor do they have a lot of grocery stores within walking distance. And when you don't have a lot of money, you're gonna buy what can feed you and fill you best for the cheapest. And so like some salad might cost you $5 or $6 in my old neighborhood, and that may only make 2 salads. You can go to McDonald's and spend $5 or $6 and get 5 or 6 burgers. It is up to you to make better decisions. That is something that is in your control. But even like if you look at lunches that are served in different countries, they serve the children fresh fruits and vegetables, healthy meals. And in our neighborhood, they consider the pizza sauce on the pizza a vegetable. We got vending machines that got a whole bunch of sugary snacks. We got Deca stores that got a whole bunch of sugary snacks. We don't really have nutrition. We don't even serve nutrition to our children. So even if at home you can't get nutrition, when you go to school, you still don't get that, and you're still not taught a better way to eat. They still gonna feed you the same thing that you're used to at home. So in a way, I understand, only because I've seen those studies. Had I not seen those studies, I would think it was like crazy. But after seeing those studies, I could kind of understand.
So do you think it's a socio-economic issue that stems from systemic racism?
Yeah, because where I live at now I can't even count the amount of grocery stores that's by me. I can't even count. And they all have a plethora of fruits and vegetables. I can't even, I would say at least 10.
Okay.
So
All
then,
right.
can I ask you a question then?
Yes.
Now, I'm not combative. Now, I'm your brother, so keep that in mind, okay?
Yes.
How much does a bag of seeds cost?
What type of seeds?
Seeds for tomatoes, seeds for maybe
But do they know
cucumbers.
how to grow a garden?
So that's what I mean. Is if you understand that there's nothing around you that is nutritious, then it may be necessary for you to plant you something. Invest some time into trying to find out how to grow your own foods, your own vegetables, your own fruit. And then see that's a way right there that you can pass on to your children, just in case they grow up in the same area. They say, okay, well, we don't have these things around us. Okay, so here's the step that you can take to acquire these things. Because I understand where you're coming from now. I promise you, growing up where I grew up at, there was one grocery store in the whole neighborhood. One.
Right.
And so either you bought what they had or you didn't eat. But now I tell you a key to it too. Another key outside of that. My grandmother was a person who came from the era where people canned foods and vegetables and things like that. She was old school now, right? Right. So you know what I mean.
I did grow up planting gardens, but I'm just fortunate. Everybody's not fortunate like me.
That's right. I agree.
But if you look at pictures of women from the 1920s, the 1910s, and the 1930s, there was no epidemic of obesity, and people were just as poor.
Well, because they couldn't go to restaurants and stuff, so they had to grow their own food and stuff, my guy.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but they can still do the same
They couldn't
thing.
just get in the car. They couldn't just hop on the bus. They had to like walk miles to get where they go. They was forced to be healthy.
Forced to be healthy.
Yes.
So being unhealthy is a convenience.
Okay, so initially we were forced to be healthy, not because they wanted us to be healthy, but because we just did not have the luxury of going to buy a car. Do you remember that boycott? One guy had a car. They did a boycott. That man had to sacrifice his good car to let these people get and pile up in his car to get them where they had to go because they were sacrificing the boycott to that Rosa Parks thing. Everybody they just did not have. And if you do not have, you still have to get. It was no welfare. It was no food stamps. They did not have those things. So you had to go and work. And when you go to work, we didn't get to go be doctors. We didn't get to go be lawyers. You had to be a laborer. So in that labor, you were healthy because you were moving.
So convenience. When things became more convenient, it typically made us more dependent and lazy at the same time. Would you say that?
Yes, but then I believe that our unhealthiness became intentional, like I said, with how they do the fast food restaurants and the cost of healthy living. They could easily make it easy to get fruits and vegetables because since fruits and vegetables are a perishable item, they can easily give it away like they're giving away the COVID shots.
It's a fact.
But they don't do that.
Chris, how do you feel about the video we just saw? And does racism and systemic racism and everything like that contribute to the obesity epidemic that we have today? Or is it just people not taking accountability?
I could see it slightly contributing because the hormone cortisol, I know if it's too high or too low, it can cause issues with how you store
Metabolize.
fats, metabolize food, the foods that you crave. It can be either salty or sugary. But the fact that it's like 80% of Black women going through this, being overweight and obese, I think I don't
Not
think
just and not
anything
just
that's
Black
in place.
women, Black men as well as I think us as a whole, as a
No,
population.
I think 80% of, is it? Oh, okay. I know it's a pretty large percentage of Black women, particularly.
Yeah, I think it's
It's affected.
80% though.
Yeah. I think that's too high of a percentage for us to just
To be a
blame it on.
coincidence.
I think I think it has to do a lot with what we view as beautiful within our communities. Like I feel like we like to see women who are thicker. We like to see, we kind of glamorize certain body types, and women feel as though they don't need to lose weight, and then it becomes an issue. I also think that it's just overconsumption for many reasons, and that could be because of stress. But to say that your body, like, the diets don't work, I don't believe that. You move more, eat less. Like, keep it simple. Keep it simple. It doesn't matter about the food quality matters, but move more, eat less. Yeah, you bought the bag of chips because they were close. They were nearby. They were quick to get to, but eat half the bag. Don't eat the whole. Like, there are little things that you can do to try. And I think to just say, like, oh, because I'm Black and because I grew up in this, oppressive world, that I'm just automatically going to be set up like this. I'm automatically going to be morbidly or obese. Like, that's morbidly obese, or just obese. I just think that's ridiculous. It's too far. It's too far of a jump for me. I can't. I try to understand, but the whole cortisol thing, and I read those studies, but I can't. I think it's an excuse.
Here's my take on it. I understand when it comes to us being born in poverty, how certain resources are neglected. We are neglected of certain resources. I understand, and I'm empathetic towards that. However, to the ones that are first of all of that 80%, they're not in poverty. I contribute to that 80%. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to take some personal accountability right now. This is why I'm in the gym. Now, I don't live in the hood. I live in a nice suburban area where there are plenty of grocery stores. And I've been living like that for a little bit now. And I still would choose to eat whatever the hell I wanted to eat. That's not Trump's fault. That's not white folks' fault. That's my fault. You know what I'm saying? So I can't. I thought the video that she put was very ridiculous because, and I say ridiculous because she chose to take no accountability at all. It was strictly white folks' fault. It was strictly Trump's fault. It was everybody else's fault, but no one. And she looks like a grown adult woman. She obviously is on some sort of YouTube show. I mean, I just feel like she is in some sort of vicinity to be able to go buy something or make different choices. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going by what I see. But myself as an example, it's no way I should have got up to the size that I'm at, or that I was. I'm not deprived of any resources at all. It was just my fault. It's not. I can't blame. And I thought this was a great topic because I do think that is something. And when I saw the video, I was just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like that was very different because this woman blamed Trump for being fat. And I'm going to say that she was probably fat before Trump. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put that out there. She was probably fat during Obama. So I can't just, yes. Do we have a systemic issue? Are resources deprived? Absolutely. 100%. I agree with that. And I know that. But it comes to a certain point to where we have to take some accountability in the situation. Nobody made me eat your banana pudding. You asked me, you said, hey, I know you on your workout thing. I know this, but would you like some banana pudding? Now, the weakness in me said, yes, we want that banana pudding. Yes. The other side said, nigga, you working out right now. You know you ain't supposed to be eating that. Trump didn't call me and say, hey, go eat that banana pudding. White supremacy didn't call me. None of that called me. It was literally an internal battle within myself. And the weaker side won. So I ate the banana pudding and it was delicious. I don't regret it. But I went to the gym and I took some accountability. I went to the gym and I did what I had to do. But I thought, and I get it. Some of us come up poor. I get it. I get that it's easier to spend $10 and get 8 double cheeseburgers because you got to feed a family and you gotta, that they depend on you doing all that stuff. But I cannot completely put the blame on white people or Trump. And again, there are a number of reasons a person can be a beast. It can be due to medication. It can be due to sickness, to illness, all kind of stuff. It could be a number of things, but that's not the case for most of us. It's not. It's not the case. Some of us are just lazy. I was one of those people, and I can take full accountability of that. King Gene, what anything you would like to say about anything that I just said?
I'm in agreement with you, brother, because here's the thing. We're talking about the symptoms of a problem. We're not talking about the problem itself. The problem simply is self-control. That's the problem. Self-control. Let me tell you why I say that. Because even if there are difficulties around you, you don't have the right food. If you go to the store and it's buy a salad or buy some chicken, buy the chicken, but don't fry it, bake it. Mm-hmm. That's an alternative. Right. And as skillful as our sisters are with the spices, the seasonings, it's gonna be fine. Ain't no problem. But don't fry it, bake it. So that's what I'm saying. Just the thought of having just a little bit of self-control in certain areas pans out. Because I remember I was training one of my good friends, and he was about to get married. His wedding was a month away. And I have to be honest with you. I put that boy through everything that I could possibly think of. But I noticed that the harder I became on him, the harder he became on himself. So he had the level of self-control that he needed because he wanted to look good in his wedding photos. And the boy looked good. He was cut up on the wedding night afterward. His wife called me and thanked me. So I know I did a good job. But it's just about self-control. Just saying, okay, this is how far I need to go. After that, I'm not going any farther. I'm going to stop it right here.
Let me get to some of these comments. Nurse Viv says, obesity is a touchy subject with sisters. Oh, boy. King Gene says, we got to go there. Didi said, because a salad is $10 and a burger is $1. You can feed your family with cheap foods that are more fattening. When you stay in poverty, a bag of chicken is worth more to a family than lettuce and cucumbers. That's a whole fact, because I didn't give a damn about no salad when I was poor. I was trying to get some of that chicken. So that's a whole fact. Where do you grow the food when you live in an apartment? I guess they have gardens. Maybe you can make like a little self garden. They
just dig up at nothing in no apartment.
You can't make a garden like a little garden.
No.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I'm not into agriculture, so there you go. They could have wildlife at their homes. I don't know. Why can't they have chickens in our backyards now? Oh, wildlife. They could have wildlife at their homes. Why can't they have chickens in our backyards? Now, you could go fish for food. You have to have a license to fish now.
Mm-hmm.
Thick oftentimes equals overweight. They changed the game. We don't know how to wring a chicken's neck like our grandparents. They had 2-parent households where mothers could stay home and tend to the garden, clean raw fish and chicken. Clap, clap. Banana split. Yum. Let's see. She says there's many factors that can contribute to obesity. I don't 100% agree with her, but I can understand some of the stuff she said. Yeah, you're right, but there's more. But there's more at play than food. Don't ignore the government selling crack. Level up and speak the truth still. Okay. I think that's a decent point. And I don't want to steer off into a whole different topic, but he brought up the government and smoking crack. Oh, hold on, let me get to this last comment. Or instead of eating a whole piece of cornbread, just have half and add some veggies.
Have a piece of cornbread. Go play.
Look, see, somebody
Can y'all
yelling.
hear that?
Yeah, somebody was yelling for their whole piece of cornbread. So, he brought up crack. Let me bring this back up. Yeah, you're right, but there's more play than food. Don't ignore the government selling crack. Level up and speak the truth still. Okay, fine. The government brought crack into the neighborhood, but they didn't make you smoke it, nor did they make you sell it. And this is why I think the accountability versus being a victim is such an important topic, because too many times we use everybody else, or we say it's everybody else's fault. Nobody forced me to smoke crack. Now, there are cases where crack was introduced to people. Like I saw DMX and his friend laced him with crack. But that's a whole different caveat. That, we're not talking about that.
His friend wasn't white, I don't think.
Huh?
So I don't think his friend was white either.
Right. So I think that's a whole different caveat. Yes, there are situations to where we are set up, but at the same time, nobody forced me to smoke crack, sell crack, or take the crack. Sometimes we set ourselves up for the entrapments. Now, I don't know if y'all are. I don't know if I should bring this brother up. Are y'all familiar with Jesse Lee Peterson?
Yes.
Now, Jesse Lee Peterson is a comical character, a real right-wing conservative black guy. A lot of it is trolling, and a lot of it I don't think he believes. But every now and then, Jesse says some real stuff. And he was saying that somebody has said that how come, and don't get me wrong, I do believe that racism exists. He says things that like racism doesn't exist. Now, I don't believe that. I think he's doing that just to be funny. But somebody called into the show and said, hey, this guy got off on the same crime that this black guy was charged for, and he did time. But he also said that, well, this guy could afford the lawyer. The black guy couldn't. So why do the crime? If you just don't do the crime, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Now, to me, that made sense. Made a lot of sense. Some of us cannot afford to be career criminals. You know what I'm saying? If you are in a state to where you know that you are in a system that's already against you, you have to take some accountability and say, well, maybe I shouldn't. This might not be the best move, because if I know the system is already against me, then I probably want to steer away from that, especially if I don't have the money to get myself off. Look at OJ. OJ had a lot of money and had a great team, had one of the best lawyers on the planet, and he got off. You know what I'm saying? But I feel different ways about that. But
the glove didn't fit. No, leave it alone.
Right. Yeah. Right. Shout out to OJ. But what do y'all think about that? The whole blaming. Do we as black people do too much blaming on everybody else? Chris, let me start with you. Do you feel like us as black people do too much blaming?
I think we can. Yeah, I think it's the easy thing to do. I think most people, you opt in for the easiest route. I think naturally humans are fairly lazy. We want things to make our lives easier. And it's a lot easier to push the responsibility on somebody else than to just take responsibility for it. Um, and I don't think half time we realize that we're doing it. I think it's just it's become habit, number one, and number two, I think with social media bringing things to light in a way um, that fits people's, um, I guess, preconceptions, it makes it really easy to just say, okay, that fits everyone. That one thing that happened to that person fits every person who falls under that category. And so you're able to blame that situation and apply that situation to your life for everything after that. I don't know if that completely makes sense. I feel like that was a bit vague, but
That makes sense to me.
yeah. Is it okay if I respond to what Dee Dee said? I wanted to get something out really fast. She said that
Go ahead.
there's
Yeah, go
many
ahead.
factors. So I want to just bring to light, yes, I agree with her. There's PCOS, endometriosis, thyroid issues, hormonal imbalances. A lot of things do contribute to obesity. But I don't think it's 80%. I don't think it can contribute to that much of
Mhm.
the epidemic, but I did want to bring that up just to bring some light to those issues, that those are issues that do affect a lot of people and women in particular.
And shout out to all the girls that's doing a great service on that birth control, that's trying to not to have kids at the moment when they're not ready. I know birth control can contribute to a lot of weight gain.
I seen a girl. My brother was in the ninth grade. This girl, when I seen her at the beginning of the school year, was probably a skinny little thing. I mean, by the end of the year, she was like a size 16, 18.
Yeah.
And it was birth control. This girl was an athlete. So she was working out. Like, and so I know she was eating the same as she had been eating, but she just blew up. I would
Yeah.
have to say no to that birth control.
Oh no, we need that.
You
King
don't need
G.
that dick. Not in high school.
Right. Right.
Exactly. I
Right.
completely
That's
agree.
that's a whole fact.
I was going to ask.
King G, do black people do too much blaming?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Give us a breakdown.
Okay. As far as a lot of the things that we have to deal with nowadays, um, Danny was talking about her write up as far as the way that the lady would, she was saying that she was aggressive, right? And then you have an instance where there are a lot of individuals that walk around and they look and see the difference in the situation with Danny and most individuals that you will find is that when something happens out of the blue like that, it's almost to the point where it's a paralysis sets in, and you're like, okay, well, I was doing what I was supposed to do, and this happened, so I'm just not going. I'm not going to do anything. I'm gonna leave it alone. This person did something to me, so I'm through from here on out. And I think for a lot of people, especially in our community, that's what has happened. Paralysis has set in because a lot of people feel, okay, well, no matter what I do, the white man gonna hold me back. No matter what I do, I'm always gonna run into difficulties. But in actuality, that's just life. It's life. So either you gonna get on with the business of accepting accountability and dealing with the traumas that you have and moving forward, or you're going to stay in the situation that you're in paralyzed because you refuse to make the changes that you know you need to make. So yeah, I think we do a lot of blaming because I'm gonna tell you, I have family members that's their thing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not trying to do anything because they not gonna let me. Well, who is they? Who are they? And if you know who they are, then stay away from they.
Right.
Look, when they what do you do if you know how a person behaves, and sisters, y'all back me up. You know how a person behaves. You know that this individual is not good to be around. When they come around, what do? You exit. Right, then you get out the way. So if you know who they are, then stay away from they. Get on your purpose and be productive. So I just don't believe in it. There've been too many things that I've had to run into in life and overcome to sit here with you all and say that you need a crutch in life. You need to. There has to be something that you can point at and say, well, I couldn't make it this far because of this. No, I can't agree with that. I can't. Not at all.
Danny, let us have it. Do black people do too much blaming?
I guess so. You know.
You said, I guess so.
Then you better speak your truth.
I mean, really, I guess I don't know. I think
Has white supremacy ever stopped you from being successful?
they tried me in this school. I should shut up because I haven't graduated yet.
But it's done. You're done, though.
No, you're not done until you're done. I'm not done until August 23rd.
That's around the corner. You'll be done soon. But has it stopped? Have they stopped you though? All the obstacles, because everybody has some sort of obstacles. Has it ever stopped you from getting anything that you wanted in life?
No, but I'm just one person. Okay, so I do feel like we do blame a lot. Can I say we blame too much? I don't know because I don't know everyone's circumstance. Like I have seen a lot of things happen to people that is just ridiculous. And some of it is not their fault. And it don't all come from white supremacy.
Right.
And unless you want to get super intellectual about the thing, and pinpoint and trace it back. I don't know. I think we do a lot of blaming. I don't know if it's too much blaming. I think white people are too racist. Should they be a little bit less racist? I think they should be a lot of bit less racist. And then let's see if we're too blaming.
Well, I'm sitting here talking to 3 successful people right now, 4 including myself. Black people, black. Last week I had a panel with 6 people. I believe about 6 people and 8 joined. Each and every one of them successful. We had everybody from a range of a plumber to IT people to social workers to nurses, all that. And white supremacy didn't stop nothing. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who's president. I don't care what policies you have, because nothing stopped me or the individuals that I've been talking to. I've been talking to y'all on a basis. King Jean is an engineer. You're a nurse. I don't know if Chris want her business out there like that, but she's successful in what she does. So I do, my girl in school, she about to be a social worker. And she deals with a lot of other stuff. So excuses, they can only get you so far. You dig what I'm saying? Everybody in life has obstacles. I feel like you have to be to the point where you choose, do I want to win or do I want to blame? Now, again, I do acknowledge that we are in a system to where it is set up against black people. I won't be ignorant. I do acknowledge that. And that system does need to be replaced. But until you can build your own system and build your own businesses and build your own economy,
which we've done before multiple times.
We have,
and it keeps getting bombed and blew up. Let's just point that out.
Right, and your own, right, and you're 100% right, and your own defenses, because that's important too. Your own army and everything like that. That's very important. Then I feel like we
don't let us say no damn army. Now you're going too far.
No, but that's necessary. That's necessary.
But they're not going to let us. Now you're going too far.
That's necessary.
They're
Though.
not gonna let us have no army.
Well,
They don't even let us peacefully protest. What the fuck you mean, the army?
We wanna go
protest.
You know, they made, listen. This last protest that we had, they made a law that you can't stand still while you're protesting.
Let me ask you a question. When you bring it to protesting, Black folks have been protesting for 70 years. Where has that gotten us?
It got us to be integrated into schools. It got us to be able to go to colleges. It's gotten us where we are.
Black people were doing all that as segregated, though.
Not to the magnitude that we are now.
But they were, though. They were doing all that, and I feel like
It was a stealing.
I really don't want to steer it, but for the sake, we'll just talk about it briefly. I think integration was one of the worst things that could ever happen to Black people, and I'll tell you why. Because when you beg somebody to be accepted into your society, into their society, you don't get respect. Now, even though they did us wrong with the whole bombings of Black Wall Street and Rosewood and all that kind of stuff,
because we were trying to be successful, segregated.
Right. They at least respected it. It was a threat. It was a threat, and they had to get rid of. They felt like they had to get rid of the threat. But when you go in wanting to be accepted, I feel like you end up in the same position. Black people have been voting for over 50 years. And what has that gotten us? It's symbolism. I think we love symbolism. It means nothing. We have a Black Wall Street mural in DC somewhere, and people are still getting killed like crazy. So, like, what does that actually mean? I think once we get over the symbolism and get back to the root, I think economics is everything. I think the problem is relatively easy to solve. And I mean, I don't know everything, but I think economics is everything. When you have economics, then you can talk, because now you're dealing with a whole different aspect.
Did those people in Black Wall Street have economics?
They did. They definitely did.
So then what?
They
when
had
they blew it up. When that place got blew up, those insurance companies did not pay them.
Yeah,
they didn't get paid.
You're right.
I think that you could have economics, but we are oppressed, and we will be oppressed. And it doesn't matter how far you dig. I think that we can all have successes, but we will never come out of this. It is just, unfortunately, just not. I mean, we could try, and I'm not saying it for us not to try. I do absolutely believe that we should try, but we cannot overlook our past successes to say that if we did this, that we would have success, because we've done that.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna get everybody else on the panel. If Black folks contribute $1 trillion to the American economy each year, $3 trillion. That's $3 trillion to the okay, $3 trillion to the American economy each year, and they took that away. That would literally cause things to change overnight. When Trayvon Martin was killed in Florida, every Black person in the state of Florida should have said, until he's arrested, until he's shown proper justice, we refuse to break bread with anybody. Black people went out when Trump was running for president and protested. For what? He's not there to talk to you. And like I said, I don't want to say, I'm not the police of all Black people. I can't say what they should do. But I'm just thinking, like, if 50,000 Black people went out to protest a Trump rally, can you imagine if every Black person would have took $100 and started building? King Gene, what do you think? You said $3 trillion to the economy. What do you think?
And that's the yearly budget of some small countries or more. So, like you said, the power is in the finances. It always has been. Because if you look at our counterparts and the other ethnicity that's in the majority in this country, that's always how they have moved. They've moved according to finances. And so the finances that they use are tied into the finances that we spend. Think about that for a minute. $3 trillion. Okay.
From a population that's 13%.
Right. $3 trillion. So, and I think that as we look at the situation, a lot of what we're facing goes back to, and I mean nobody on the panel in disrespect, but it goes back to something that Malcolm said. Malcolm X, he said, we have to understand the power of the dollar. And in understanding the power of the dollar, then we can position ourselves where we cannot be denied the things that everyone else had. We won't be denied freedom. We won't be denied respect. We won't be denied the right to exist as a people without fear of being bombed, as was already mentioned by Danny, or anything else happening. Because the money is talking now. Not necessarily us, but the money. And if you don't want this money, then okay, go on about your business. But if you want this money, there are certain things that you have to put in place so that we'll accept the fact that now we're dealing with you. So that's how I feel. I could be wrong.
I'm not gonna say I disagree with that, but that's just unrealistic.
What do you mean by
Ain't, no- ain't,
unrealistic?
ain't no black people gonna stop getting their Jordans or stop dressing themselves up to feel better, to be
That's true.
treated better. And
That's true.
it's stupid, but they're not going to stop.
This is why media like this is important,
It is.
because God has blessed us with the internet now, where we decide to make the playing field even. Because now we have voices like yours, voices like mine, voices like King Gene, voices like Chris that can show a different way. So thank God for the internet. And I know that's regulated, you know what I'm saying? And they could, you know what I'm saying? But I think we have to really get back down to the point of being a grassroots people, learning how to use the tools with we have for important causes, because you never know who is watching this video right now. One of the next black great revolutionaries could see this one day and say, let me do something about this and take this and run with it. Chris, let me get your point. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about what we've been saying?
Yeah. Do you guys know who Thomas? I think Thomas Sowell. Is that his name? Yeah.
You know everybody. This guy, he's not to everybody.
He's my favorite. I think he's a good one to listen to, Danny, if you're kind of on the edge about some of this. You're not quite sure. He puts it very well. He states it very well, his points. But I agree. I think that what's important is building a sense of community and owning stuff. Just owning something, owning your houses, even if it's in the hood. Owning your house, owning your cars. You don't, it doesn't have to be fancy. The issue is that the black dollar, it only lasts 6 hours. I believe it circulates 6 hours on average, and that is ridiculous. And people, we don't know how to spend our money, and there's so much power in money. I always say, money doesn't buy happiness, but it gets you pretty close.
Facts.
It gets you pretty close to the things that make you happy. And it's, people don't like to hear that, but when you see how much money can just change your entire life, yeah, I've also heard like it makes you more the person you already are, but money is something that when you don't have it,
And that
you
is why
know.
people hate to talk money.
That's
That's
why they hate
why.
to talk about it.
Yep. That, especially in our community. And I don't want to bring up Kevin Samuels, but this whole high value thing, it's important because money is yes, 6 figure, whatever. It's the starting point. It matters. And people like to act like it don't. That's broke talk. That is broke people talk to say that money does not matter. That's bullshit. Money absolutely matters. You have no resources without it. We will not be trying to work as hard and to get rich. And whatever your definition of what success is, that's your definition. But yeah, that it absolutely matters.
I think
It
how you
definitely.
spend it matters. I think if you
Yeah.
make 6 figures, but you have, let's say you make 100 grand a year, but you have 500 grand in debt, you don't own any of your assets, your net loss. Like your worth is negative $400,000. Like you're not worth anything. So
Facts.
it's important to think about where you're going with your money, where it's going at the end of the month and the day. Even if you have nothing at the end of the month to spend on like all the fun things, if you're thinking about, you invest in the stock market, you own a piece of a company, you invested in real estate, you invested in your business, your friend's business, you are planting something. That's what's important. And I like what CJ said about the threat. I was doing some research on the Holocaust and kind of what led to that. And a big issue with that was the Germans felt as though the Jewish people were doing too well. And they were being told that the reason why the Germans were poor and weak, why Germany was weak, was because the Jewish people. And so all of that was literally a threat to bring them down because Jews, they were owning, they had their own businesses, they were doing well. And when I think about that, it just changes how you see everything, how you see the entire.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to
No,
show that.
I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
see. I was interested. No worries. But it's really important to understand how important money is and how important community is. Just planning something, having something to fall back on, having something for your family to fall back on is very important. Like just having children and knowing that when you leave this earth that they're going to have something is important. And we're not leaving our kids with anything. Anything. It costs very little to start a trust and just put money in it just a little bit at a time. But we have no education. There's no one teaching us how to do this. We have all of this information at our fingertips. Most people in America have access. I think most people around the globe have access to YouTube nowadays. So there are very little excuses for this information isn't getting out there. So
Me and Danny was talking earlier. We was talking about all the tax breaks that these billionaires get, and because people just simply don't open a book or go on YouTube. You want to know why Trump don't pay only pay $700 in rent? Because he has multiple businesses. The American government incentivizes people to start businesses. That's why Jeff Bezos doesn't pay that much in taxes, because it pays to start businesses. And people just, and I think that's why a lot of us are just okay with being workers, because being a business owner takes research, takes research, takes hard work, takes staying up a lot of hours, putting in the work. But the benefits to me are worth it. Shout out to the homie CKQ who just popped up. Yeah, man. And Ray Jones, if you in there, if you still listening, man, come on through, Ray Jones, and let's chop it up. What's cracking, Clement?
How you guys doing?
What's cracking?
You guys are saying
Right,
some
man.
amazing stuff on here.
Oh yeah, I
It's
appreciate
also
it.
an
Man.
amazing book by the richest man in Babylon. That's a really good book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you feel about what we're saying so far, Clem? Just jump in.
Well, I mean, I 100% agree with everything you're saying, which is that we don't really understand how money works. We don't really understand how even credit cards actually work. I know for myself, I mean, quick side story on how I even first got myself into really bad debt was I got my first $500 credit card, and I was just like, oh, I'm rich. $500, I'm going to max this thing out, and I'm just going to, I always know it's smart to pay $25 every single month. That was the dumbest thing until I eventually like started doing more research and understand like you don't want to be carrying debt over into the next month. But that's not something we know in our community. And especially in our community, it's like, oh, you don't really want credit cards. You kind of want to pay everything with your debit card, which is blows my mind, but that's also a thing that we do. I think we need to start looking at money as more of a tool and less of, if you gain money, if you're trying to gain money, clearly you're trying to be better than everyone else. It's not about being better. It's about gaining that freedom. It's about being able to move around the way you want. It's about being able to build a legacy for your future family. It's not like the money you're making now is not about you. And I think that's where we're lost right now. We think so much about ourselves that we fail to realize it's not about us. It's about the future. We need to be looking to the future a lot more and less on what our monetary gains. You know, that's
Yeah.
I'm in this group on Facebook called the Black Coalition, something like that. And
Are you talking about that real big group with like 100,000 people?
I don't even know how many people is in it, but that group.
I left.
It's like that, huh?
Yes. Okay, so I saw one comment. I didn't even read the post because I just caught a comment, and it was just like, his comment was, no matter how much I make, I ain't leaving nothing for my kids. They got to get it like I did. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
There was another post that was trying to encourage Black men to do well, and all the Black women got on top of, I'm disappointed she didn't include us. I'm like, I be just blown away. Like, do we always have to be so combative with each other? Like,
see, one thing
is there
about
something wrong with giving your child a boost so that they can give your grandchild a boost, so that they can give your great grandchild a boost? Like, that's how white people make it. I mean, we always want to be like, well, that's what white people did. Well, that's what white people do. They buy insurance and they buy their wealth and they leave it to their kids and grandkids. And that's how it goes. Jewish people, they have a trust. Every person in that family gets life insurance, and that money goes to the trust. The trust pays the life insurance, so the life insurance always come. That's come when you watch HGTV. These white people can get houses, and it's like, what do you do? I sell bananas off the bridge.
facts. Oh my God, man. No, you just really hit a nerve with me. Cause me and Didi would sit up and watch like Caribbean Life and all these shows, and these white folks will go up there. Oh yeah, I sell fruit. Well, what's your budget? 500,000.
It's because they're not borrowing from a bank. They're going to that trust that their grandparents and great grandparents, the other parents have built, that every person in that family has
and
money that goes to that
they
trust.
were all looking into the future. They weren't looking at the monetary gains. They were literally, so that kid, even though he's making money, he's most likely still putting back into that trust so that his kids and their kids' kids could just literally keep moving, so they could build a business but still have money to be able to like set aside and keep helping every other generation out. We don't get that, man. We don't get that.
And you know what's crazy too? A lot of us, we have the information, but a lot of niggas just like to talk.
That's all.
And like, honestly, like a lot of niggas just like to talk and hear themselves talk instead of getting the information and putting it into action. When someone told me that, when I found out the business benefits of the benefits of having a business, I actually went out and got the LLC.
Yep.
I have an appointment scheduled with Fidelity next week. I'm learning and actually putting things into practice of how to do certain things instead of just running my mouth. And that is a lot. Like that group you're talking about, it's just a lot of talk. And that's how we get distracted with just debates. Which one is better? Well, how about you go out and try it and get some results? And then we'll see. And let's come back to the table and see what else was working. Like, a lot of us really do way too much talking. You know what I'm saying? And not enough action. It's cool to talk. It's cool to look fly when you're doing something. Like, I got to give a shout out to Tariq Nasheed, because Tariq Nasheed, I don't know if y'all know who he is, but Tariq Nasheed is the director of the Hidden Color series. He put me on to a lot of people like Shahrazad Ali. It's a whole bunch of people. And you talk about a man who is on their purpose. That man does everything he literally says he's going to do. I remember listening to Tariq Nasheed back in 2010 when the Precious movie had came out, a disgusting movie, in my opinion, just absolutely horrible, demonic movie, in my opinion. And he was like, we got to counter this. And he said, I'm going to the black people and I need y'all to help me fund this movie. The first movie was $20,000 and he got it from the people, became one of the best selling documentary series, produced 5 Hidden Colors movies, 1807, another movie. That man is putting in work, and his audience and the black family is using their money to help build. Now he's building a museum in Los Angeles. The Hidden
I saw
History
that on your
Museum.
page.
Yeah, the Hidden History Museum. $1 million crowdfunded. He's going to get it. He's going to get it because that's what happens when you take information and vital information, but you actually put it into practice. The people start to trust you. 10 years ago, when I didn't know as much about Black empowerment as a young 20-year-old man who was just trying to find a way, I didn't know what was going on in the system. I didn't know how to navigate. And that is why the new Black male media is so important, because now I'm inspired. I want to do certain things now. The work that this man laid down is inspiring me. And to me, that is where your value comes in at. Hopefully somebody is watching this and can get inspired from the things that Danny, Chris, Clement, King Gene is saying and do something about it. That's why I document the struggles of nursing school and everything that I go through to show Black men, and not just Black men and Black women, but really two Black men, that it's another way. You don't have to rap. You don't have to be an athlete. Clement is a plumber. Plumbers make hella good money.
I do.
Hella good money. You dig? Like if the plumbing system go out in my apartment complex, we got a real problem. Your whole complex finna be smelling like boo-boo. So like,
that's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, when you get a collective of individuals together that are on their grind and on their purpose and actually doing the things that they say they're gonna do, you know what I'm saying? Then you got a whole different collective going on. You got a whole different situation. Anything anybody want to add?
Do you think fear is Do you think fear is a big motivating factor in the fear of success? Is a big motivating factor in why not a lot of us take that step?
Go ahead. I'll let y'all answer that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's actually a book on procrastination, and one of the biggest factors, or the biggest what leads to procrastination the most, is fear. It's the fear of either failure, which is the main one, or it's the fear of succeeding and then getting that survivor skill, like we were talking about earlier, of, okay, once I get there, then what does that mean, and who do I leave behind? And so it's just, fear is typically what holds many people
Do you think
back.
something like survivor's guilt should be holding people back?
Absolutely not.
No, I think because a lot of times it only takes one person to make it to help the rest of the crowd. And
okay, so I guess
someone has to take that first step.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you think there is an obligation when someone makes it out? Do you think there's an obligation to turn around and try to help the others?
He asked that earlier.
Yeah, we just that was exactly what I asked. Yeah, that was exactly what I asked earlier. Because I told them, I said that is a burden that a lot of Black people face. A lot of successful Black people face. It is your job. Some people say you are obligated to come help these people, to come help people. And just like most of the panel said, like, we'll give you the game if you want it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a superhero. I'm not going to put my cape on for somebody who don't want to be saved.
Yeah, facts.
But I think one thing that honestly, it didn't scare me to the point that I didn't want to do the work. I think the fear of never being satisfied, that is my issue. Because I tell you what, when I passed my NCLEX and got my license, that was a high that I never felt before.
No, right?
And I don't know if I'll ever get it again. You know what I'm saying? Because I see why people get addicted to drugs, because now I'm constantly chasing that high. I was high for 3 days. 3 days. Like, I was literally in a state of ecstasy for 3 days. The day that I passed got my license, we went down to Miami. I mean, he was in Miami for Dee Dee's birthday. I got my license on the 2nd. Her birthday's on May 5th. So I don't know if I'll ever get that high back again. And it's just that, to me, that's my biggest thing. Now I'm gonna go for it anyway, because I'm still trying to always chase it. But I don't know if I'll get that high again. Maybe one day. I hope so.
I'll let you know when I get this next license if I get it again. So I can let you know, hey, every success brings that.
Man, because that shit was like, what? Like, I I was floating. I couldn't. Only thing that could have brought me down was my mama or daddy dying or something like that. But other than that, you could have. Man, I don't know. Like you
That's a
could
big
have done
achievement,
some.
man. That's a big achievement. That's why.
The
But
sun shined different that day.
dude, because I got fired the day I passed. I got my license. I got fired from Amazon.
From Amazon.
Yes,
Wow.
I got fired. They fired me, and it
You
was
was
my
you got fired on your day off?
yes.
Craig.
I got
Craig.
fired on my day off.
That's impressive, bro. That's an achievement.
What you doing? Filling boxes?
Oh, it was 100% my fault. It was my fault. I'm gonna take whole accountability for me getting fired. But at the same time, let me put a little blame on them. He black. Let me put a little blame on them. It was a snowstorm, and it was about 4 feet of snow, and I was slinging them packages on them porches. They was landing in snow. They was all right, and yeah, that's why they fired me. They had me on tape. They showed me the tape too.
As you just next one.
What was you supposed to do?
Right. That was my question. I said,
If they didn't shovel, what was you supposed to just keep the package in?
right. I guess they wanted me to have my own shovel and dig through the snow and put it on their porch. No, sir. No, sir. And I said, thank you. I said I was gonna do y'all a favor and put in my 2 weeks, but I'm not. So you didn't fire me. I quit. Nah.
There you go.
If you must know. I appreciate y'all for being here. I got another question. Well, okay. Well, it's kind of like the same question. We kind of already talked about it, but I'll ask it anyway, because maybe we can get some different perspectives. Two people no, it's the same thing. All right, let me just ask it. Two people who grew up together in the same circumstances. One busts his ass. The other one is a straight up bum, but they cool with each other. One becomes extremely successful. Other one becomes a straight up loser. Is it the winner's job? We literally just asked this. Is it the winner's job to go back and help the man who never wanted to help themselves in the beginning? So that was the question that I had, where we kind of just answered it before.
They're in the same circumstance, but are they related? Because, okay, if I make it, my brother made it. I make it, my nephew made it.
But some of your family members can still be trash.
No, I didn't say all my family members. I just named them.
Right. But if you made it and your brother still didn't want to put in no work.
No. If I made it, like if I'm a millionaire, he can stay a bum. I will buy him a house.
Really?
Okay, I gotta disagree with that.
Absolutely.
No,
I
I mean, it's okay if you disagree, but there's no way that I'm having millions.
I understand what you're saying now.
It will be asinine for my brother to be homeless.
Okay,
what type of sister are you?
I'm so glad that I asked that question. I didn't think I could get nothing out of that. I'm so glad I asked it. All right, we're gonna go around the panel. We're gonna go around the panel. Go ahead, King Gene. You haven't spoken in a while. How do you feel about what Danny just said?
And you dwelling in the extremes, though. Those are extreme situations. Now, of course, if he's homeless, then I expect you to. If you're a millionaire, if you had fun. But now here's where I draw the line at. I draw the line at you being a millionaire, right? And
that's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be millionaires. Go ahead.
Right.
And then you have a brother. And I take that from what CJ said. You have a brother, and this brother, no matter what has been done for him in life, he refuses to take responsibility for himself and to become productive. Mm-hmm. If you know that you're pouring your resources into a bucket full of holes, at some point, somebody has to say, even if it's not you, somebody has to say, look, man, this is enough. It's time for you to stand up on your own 2 feet. Now, and I think most of the men in the room will agree, because that's the standard that we're held to. We're not giving you anything. If you want it, come get it.
I'm so happy I'm not a man. Okay. I don't care. I don't care how many holes my brother got. I'm gonna spackle them holes because that's my brother. We shared a room. We shared a room till we was 13. After we broke up in rooms, we slept on a twin size bed together and we missed each other.
Okay.
It's nothing that he can't ask me for
But then
that I wouldn't
Clement,
give.
Clement, respond to Danny real quick, Clement.
I have a question. I have a question. Do you believe that the man should be a leader? And
My husband is the leader.
don't you think that he had to put him up, go through a burden of performance to gain that leadership quality?
I definitely burden him.
No. Prior to you, because he was I would say he was a certain level of, he gained a certain level of leadership, which is why you decided to go under his like umbrella.
I got pregnant.
So it's just like, oh, he got pregnant. So okay, even there, you got pregnant. No, that's fine. That's fine. But you still had to choose him that you decided to get pregnant by, correct? Or was it like, let's just see what happens?
So the way I got pregnant is,
do y'all really want this story?
Okay.
I made this man use a condom every time. But my cousin came in and we both had got drunk at separate parties, and I was supposed to go home, but I was horny. And at this particular time, he ain't had no condom. And so I said, okay, it's just the one time, and that one time got me pregnant.
That's all it takes. But
I found out.
But prior to that, you were still seeing him.
Yeah, yes. We wasn't claiming each other. I was just having fun. Before I met him, I was not a relationship type of person. And actually, we even talked about this.
All of this is literally playing into what I'm saying, which is he still had some level of leadership that you decided to pick him. Right. You still chose him. Like out of every guy, you still chose him. Men have to be placed under a certain level of burden of performance to rise up to that occasion. When you strip a man away from adversity, he can't rise up to that occasion. Men need to be able to rise to adversity because they cannot be leaders if they aren't put under pressure. All right, I'll use the analogy. This is one I came up with. I hope you guys like it. All right. Men are lumps of coal and women are like unpolished gems. So for women, you have inherent value right off the bat. You're wanted right off the bat. So all you have to do is polish that gem and keep it nice and polished. Preserve your value. Men, on the other hand, are lumps of coal. Responsibility is pressure. So the more responsibility a man can place on himself and survive through it, he gets closer and closer to becoming a diamond. That's what's so special about men and responsibility. It's something that we hate, but it makes us grow and flourish so much if we're able to actually survive through that pressure. Mm-hmm. Men need to be under pressure to become great. No woman ever wants just.
Yeah, so now whenever I feel like I'm burdening him too much, I'm gonna let him know, hey, Clement said.
Hey, listen.
Well, I mean, it's a difference between it's a difference between assisting and enabling too.
Yeah, correct.
You know what I'm saying? You can't enable a grown man. A grown man still has to be a man, and like that's that feminine nature of yours. You have a nurturing spirit. You want to help people, and that's great. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing, and we don't see enough of that, in my opinion, in a lot of women. But sometimes a man still has to be a man. I cannot do the things for you that you have to do for yourself because that is not how life works. Like that is not practical thinking to think that just because I have $1 million that I'm supposed to take care of you. Now I'll help you. I will assist, but I will not enable.
Chris, I hear all of that. And I feel like y'all are absolutely correct.
And we're not saying you wrong, Danny. We ain't saying you wrong.
I feel a butt coming.
I might be absolutely right.
I feel a butt coming.
This completely whole pie of correctness that I absolutely agree with. I got this little speck right here, right? And that speck is my brother. And that means that he is the exception to every rule I have. And as long as I have it, he will have it. And if I'm enabling him, I will pray that God forgives me, but I'm not going to not give what I can.
Yeah,
you're doing exactly what God. You're doing exactly what God put you here for, though, which is nurture.
Yeah.
What happens when you're not there to nurture, though, Danny?
I mean, he's the oldest, and women outlive men.
That's actually a good question. What he's asking. Yeah,
this is one of the things I want you to think about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Chris said it earlier. The focus is when you go to teach a person, you're teaching them so that the end result is that they can be self-sufficient.
My brother know all the same stuff that I know, and my brother ain't no bum. He absolutely takes care of his responsibilities.
Well, in that case, then he wouldn't allow you to do that for him.
Oh no, my brother would let me buy him a house. He would.
You think he would?
I know he would. Okay. My brother would let me give him whatever I'm gonna give him.
Now listen, this is the thing. The only thing I'm saying is, as far as enabling, as far as allowing things to happen, you have to understand that that's counterintuitive to what you're trying. You're trying to help him, right? That's your focus. You're trying to make sure your brother is in good standing, that he's stable. But the way that you're going about doing it is counterproductive. Because if he doesn't earn it, right? If he doesn't earn it, then he doesn't know what it takes to keep himself there. Exactly. The only thing he knows is you.
And that you're gonna always have his back no matter what bullshit he get into. And that's when people start to become unappreciative of the things that they do have. Because if you continue to give and give and give, and a person know you always gonna be there, you become less valuable. Because you know they can have it, and we know your intention. And look, Danny, we're not saying you wrong. You do what you want to do. That's your brother. That's your family. We don't know, that's you. But I'm just saying, like,
I mean, I don't have to do none of this stuff. Like I said, he take care of himself.
Right. I
don't know. What I can say is there's always even an exception to my exception, but I don't know what it is that he would have to do for me to not help him.
When it becomes detrimental to your success. When he puts everything that you work for in jeopardy, if he was going to put your family in jeopardy, and if he was just somebody that was an inherent fuck up, and it was just going to put what you built in danger, then by far your motherly instinct is going to kick in. You're not going to mess up everything that I built for my family and for my future children. That's when that will kick in. Chris, can you speak on that? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to add something. So I'm not picking on you, Danny, so please don't take it that way.
Oh, I don't feel like none of y'all are picking on me.
But I was trying really hard.
There's this. So one thing about femininity that's important. There's something I call broken femininity. Broken femininity is the opposite of like tuned femininity. So tuned femininity will.
Y'all, I just want to say I've never heard myself as described as feminine. Like I'm feeling good over here. Okay.
Okay, so I probably shouldn't say what I'm about to say. But okay, don't take this wrong way though. So there's tuned femininity, which should bring out the masculinity in masculine people, which are typically men. Okay, so when you tune that, so basically when you polish that gem, when you tune that femininity, it should push your brother to want to take care of you as a feminine woman. So what you're probably dealing with is some like broken femininity, where it's actually making him more feminine. You're pulling him down, but it's not.
This is hypothetical. I'm not doing anything for my brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, she was just using that as an example.
Basically, what would happen is like it would pull him down because it's you're getting more into like wanting to, you care so much that you want to fix something, or you want someone else to.
You step into the provider role.
No, so that would be more masculinity.
But that's what I'm saying. That as for her starting to take care of him, she steps more into the provider role, which puts him more in a submissive feminine role, stripping him of his masculinity.
It puts him in like, for men, it's more like a conservation mode. So men do as responsibility comes. So if the responsibility is not there, they turn off that switch that tells them like, oh, like, so more like submission is more of like, okay, you got this. Tell me when I'm needed and I will be there. Conservation mode is, if you're going to do it, I'm not going to do it. You deal with that. I'm going to go over here. So you see how like you're still, when you're in submission, you're still there. Like this person's here, you're right behind them. Like, okay, you tell me when to go and I'll go. But conservation.
I got that down pat. If y'all could have knew my husband when I first met him and meet the man he is now.
Yeah. A good example of this is when you ask your man to take out the trash and they don't do it when you want them to do it. So you do it. And then they're like, oh, well, she can do it. So he never does it again. Because for him, he's like, okay, I'm going to conserve my energy. I'm going to go do this over here. She has that. And if you keep doing that, it takes away that responsibility and they just stay the lump of coal.
I completely understand that.
Yeah, that was dope.
That's good. That was good.
Yeah, man, like we have to work. Like and that's why I can't stand a lazy man. Like I really can't. Like it's one of the worst things on earth. If you ask me, you have COVID and you have a lazy man. And I really might think a lazy man may be worse. But um yeah, I think that was definitely a good segue and a good conversation. I just think that us as men, we just truly have to get on our purpose, and women have to be able to trust us as leaders in what we do. And I do understand that a lot of women are forced into positions that they have to be the leaders. They have to be masculine, and that's unnatural. You know what I'm saying? We like today as a society, it's promoted for men to be weak. If you are seen as strong, if you are just a man, if me, Clement, and King Gene want to have a friendly competition or whatever the game may be, that's told you're being a toxic masculine. Everybody gets a trophy. No, everybody does not get a trophy. That is not real. That is not real life. And they want to promote that to you so it's easier for them to stay at the top. Because everybody that's not how life works. If you don't get a job, but you're a great person, you're just gonna be a good person who's broke. So like I don't know. I hate this whole everybody gets a trophy mindset. I think that's one of the big killers of success and people that could be successful. What do y'all think?
Agreed. 100% agree with that. This world was built off of people competing, not even competing to be better. Because I think naturally men will arrange themselves in a hierarchy, but will all want to push towards a better goal, a better tomorrow, a better future.
Mm.
So men need to be creating tribes again and all challenging each other to do better in the
Yep.
best of ways, of course. Because naturally, when men come together, we BS a lot, but then all it takes is that one person. Hey, I've been thinking about this idea. Oh, I've been thinking about this idea too. Oh, really? I think this might help with it. Oh, that's actually the missing piece that I needed for my idea. Oh, yours was too. Okay, let's get this thing going. You want to help me out with mine? Yeah, I'll help you out with yours too. And that's literally how ideas start. Right now, we're not coming together anymore. We see each other as too much enemies, especially like I would say for black men. We I mean, I'm sure you guys see it. How often do you see another black man? It's kind of like you get a mean look first, like a mean mug before even like a what's up or a hi, how you doing?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think once we start reforming how we look at each other, we can actually start growing as a community.
Yep. I agree. I definitely agree. And I think we have to be okay with giving each other flowers too. Now, I do believe in healthy competition, but it's okay to be inspired by others. And a lot of us don't want to give each other props. Like I told Clement, I saw his boxing stuff and everything like that. Dude's in great shape. And that inspired me to take boxing and everything like that. I give him his props on that because I think it's dope. And somebody should be champion for that. Being in shape as a man is rare, which is sad. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go to the beach and stuff like that, usually men have titties and everything like that. So like when you see a brother that's doing his thing, young, successful, looks good, you know what I'm saying? Got his mind right, that person should be champion. And I
And
have
who
no
blush?
problem doing that. So people are insecure. And I think that's another thing too. Like people are so insecure. No, like you can't be scared of that. If the energy you put out, I think you will get back. So, is there
And
anything?
then, you know what, CJ, you speaking to trauma now, though, brother. That's what you speaking to. The ability to look at something that's positive, like Clement, his example that he said, and the example that you said, CJ, the example that the sisters are setting on the panel. You look at something that's uniquely positive, and the only thing you can pull away from it is something negative. There has to be some trauma attached to that. It has to be.
That's
And
true.
so a lot of times you got individuals that are around you and that's their disposition that to pull out the negative, like you said now, birds of a feather. So if this individual is your constant companion, then it might be time for you to look around and see what changes you need to make.
Facts. Facts. I don't hang with individuals. Like, listen, my circle at home is so small. Like, it's so small. Like, I'm not in the streets. I don't hang out like that. It be a lot of the times it's really me and Didi, because if somebody not aligned with what I'm trying to get done and the purpose, I respect you. I love you from a distance, but I can't really rock with you because that's not the direction I'm headed. Now, you don't have to necessarily do everything that I'm doing to be aligned with the direction that I'm trying to go. But I'm not in the clubs. I'm not in the streets. I don't go to cabarets. That's just not my thing. I'm not with that. If you do that, that's fine. But I just stay around. I like to stay around individuals that's doing the same things that I'm doing. That's all. But we almost 3 hours in, so I think we're gonna probably wrap this up. It's been a great show. I have some homework to do. I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity to shout out their platforms and have the final say. Have a last word. So, is anything anybody? I'm gonna go around. I know Clement, you weren't here for the whole thing, but is anything anybody want to add on any of the topics we talked about tonight, or I'll let everybody have we're gonna go around. So I'm gonna start with Chris.
I don't think so. I think this was a great conversation, and I think we hit on so much, and it was great. Thank you.
All right, dope. You're welcome. So welcome, Danny D. What's cracking? Anything that you want to add on any of the topics that we talked about?
Follow me on Instagram at
It's not time for that part yet.
That's what I want to hit on.
I need more
followers for Statue Esposito.
We gonna get there. We gonna do a whole. I'm gonna give you the solo screen and everything. I'm learning how to work it now.
Oh, go ahead.
There we go.
You're right. So,
so our topics.
Is there anything you want to add to that? Yeah.
I think my middle name on Facebook says it, and it's you gotta want to be great.
Oh.
I heard that when I was a freshman in college. One of the guys who I was dating, his brother told him that, but when he said it to me, it stuck with me forever. You don't become great just because you have to want to be great.
All right. King Gene, anything you like to add to the convo from anything that we said?
Well, just going off the title of the show, CJ. In my honest opinion, being forthright, it is always better to accept accountability rather than being a victim. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you are a victim through no fault of your own, but this is not a state that you stay in. You should never be a perpetual victim. Everything is happening to you. You have to take accountability because that's the way that you grow. That's the way that you progress. That's the way that you prove to yourself that you can do better than the circumstances that you are in presently. Taking on accountability, moving forward.
All right. Clem, anything you want to add on? Anything you want to say?
All right. I guess I wasn't here for the whole thing. But I will say when it comes to both men and women, particularly Black men and women, especially now more than ever, we both have to start understanding each other a little bit more. And what I mean by that is we got to start cutting each other some slack. If you see that there's a guy that's on his grind, he's obviously not there yet. He's not a millionaire. Know that he's on his way and back him up. And that's why I definitely say the women and to the men, know that she's coming from the same traumatic household that you are as well. So you cannot hold her to a crazy femininity standard, and know that she's someone that's still working on it as well. Work on your communication with her and try to find a way to, instead of trying to tear each other down, working together. Start understanding how to work towards a common goal. And I guess that's what I would have to say to that.
All right. That was dope. Yeah, man, I agree with what everybody said. I just want to say there are winners and losers in life. You have to pick which one you want to be. A lot of the times the world will not feel sorry for you. And you just have to take it what it is. You get arrested, they're going to tell you ignorance of the law is no excuse. So just like everything else, you have to take that into consideration with everything single thing that you do in your life. So I just say, continue to grind, get in shape, be great. You know what I'm saying? Make your paper, stay on your purpose. So I'm about to go around the panel. I'm about to get the solo screen popping. Let me know where y'all can or let the people know where they can find you at if they want to reach out to you. Bam.
Hey, I'm Chris again. You can follow me on Instagram at the Blooming Ebony. My YouTube channel will be coming soon, hopefully this Sunday, with the first video on femininity and broken femininity, as I mentioned in this podcast. And I'd like to say thank you to everyone. CJ Kyles, of course, thank you. And thanks to all the panelists. This was a wonderful conversation. It was a pleasure to be here.
Bam. Wait, hold on. All right. Cool. Bam.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Statuesque Physique. Or you can find Chris to find me in my banana pudding because he always be wanting me to promote it.
Yep. Go ahead and promote it. All right. Let me get you up out of there. All right. Let me go to bam.
All right, you guys can find me at the King Gene on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And the focus is positive masculinity, manhood, being accountable for what we do as men so that the outcome for everyone is better. So holla at me.
All righty. All righty. Last but certainly not least, hold on. Let me get King Gene up out of here.
Oh man.
Bam.
There it is. How you doing? My name is Clements. I am the host of CKQ Podcast. You can find me on YouTube at CKQ Podcast Clements, as well as on Instagram, CKQ Podcast, where on my show I go live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where I host a show where I bring men and women on, and we talk about the different dynamics between women and men, gender roles, if they're still a thing, marriage, if it's still something that we should be aspiring towards, or how it plays into bigger society and how society should be affecting each and every one of our relationships. That's my Wednesday. And Friday, I'm actually going to start a music channel because as you can see, I got a couple instruments here and I want to start playing them again. So Friday, if anyone plays instruments, start hitting me up on that because those are going to be my lives now. Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all can't go yet because y'all about to witness the best moment of the show.
Let's get it.
Are y'all ready for CJ's joke of the day?
Oh boy.
Always.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have the fancy okay.
I got you.
All right. That's what I'm talking about.
I was like, where did that come from?
That's what I'm talking about. Black men. That's what I'm talking about. All right, here we go. What do you call a fish wearing a bow tie?
What do you call it?
Sophisticated. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I will be here every day, and you can catch the show every Friday from 8 to 10 something because we be going off the rails sometimes. But Friday, you can catch this show. I'll post every day, post different content every day. So make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure y'all hit that Cash App to support the channel. I appreciate everybody that watched tonight. Shout out to Dee Dee. Shout out to Miss Pollard. Shout out to Nurse Viv. Shout out to just everybody who was just rocking with us. I appreciate everybody. And make sure y'all tune in next week and make sure y'all stay tuned every day because we do go live every day. And well, not live, but we got content coming every day. So until next time, boys and girls, I will holler at y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.